You.
Right. Hello, everybody. My name is Lewis Lee, and this is Playing in Traffic, where all the fellas get together and we talk about cars, boats, trucks, and anything that we put gas in. So, if you are on Facebook or YouTube, please leave comments because we can see them in the chat, and like, share, and subscribe so we can become big dogs like Coverman 66.
Woo!
Yeah.
What up, fellas?
Lewis, yeah, Terry is having quite a role there. What the hell's he involved with?
It's out on the road doing stuff.
Oh yeah, he's traveling. He's doing his thing.
Oh man,
oh man, he works hard, man. So it's all coming forward for him.
I'm glad we can almost all of us can say we knew him before he became
right. We knew him when
real big.
Yeah, he's doing well,
and he's a big guy.
Yeah,
I remember the first time I walked up on him at SEMA, I'm like, holy shit, this dude should be playing basketball.
Yeah.
He's a tall boy.
He can play football, too.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
He's good. I love him. He's a great guy. He called the other day to ask me some questions.
Did he?
Wanted a little chassis knowledge.
Yeah,
he called Lou. And then he had called me to verify.
All right.
Make sure.
Well, that's the thing. We all do that. We all use the network.
Yeah.
We all call each other and verify and bang ideas off. And I want to know what bar Brian is
way to put bigger tires in his car.
It's like Brian's in a smoky bar tonight.
Yeah, really? What's up?
The camera's dirty.
No, I think it's the angle of the camera.
Jeez.
There you go.
Okay, so I got a tech question.
What do you got?
Okay, my bus, the battery's been fine. Starts up, boom, easy. So the other day I went to start it and the battery was down. So I put the charger on it. It starts right up. So I move it and I let it run for a long time, like an hour. Not an hour, maybe half hour. Charge the batteries up. So I go out today. I have no power at all to the key. No lights, it's like the battery's disconnected.
Something's on.
Well, yeah, either that or does that battery, are you able to check the cells on that battery?
I don't know. It has 2 in it. So I have to, it got dark on me or I was going to check it.
You need one of those testers to see,
I just went through this 2 weeks ago on my FJ. The truck sits during the week and I went out to crank it. It's like, that rapid clicking. Like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
I put the interstate battery in it, the 24F, and I bought the Megatron, the good one, in December. That was a replacement for another one that crapped out. So I hauled it off. I go down to the store in Freeport, and I said, listen, dude, I think this thing's got a bad cell. I said, but, you can't. Well, he peels the decal. I said, yeah, I don't want to go peeling the decal off, and you're telling me that I'm voiding the warranty. Yep. Hey, Chet, he goes, yeah, it's got a bad cell. I'm like, okay. He goes, this battery looks brand new. I'm like, yeah, I just got it in December, 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave me another new one, put it in, things cranked away and started beautiful. So I would check the cells. What type of battery is it, Lewis?
I'm not sure. It's dirty on the top.
Okay.
I can't see what it is.
Or there could be a parasitic drain, something on, like John's saying, it's drawing current when the battery is off. That's a whole nother level of.
But how do you check that?
Here's the thing that I didn't change anything. Like nothing changed. You know what I mean? It was just been sitting. I wasn't playing with no wires, no nothing.
Well, on a vehicle like that where you've been in there and taking stuff apart, there could be any stray wire that ended up touching something that you didn't
like for
see.
The dome light.
The dome
light,
right.
Like when you raise the roof and you have a dome light, and if it's not connected, let's say even if you have a wire grounded out, it may not blow the circuit because it's not a lot of power, but you could have a draw or a drain or something.
Yeah.
And you also did a lot of work around the back door. And I don't know I know from the county buses, our school buses here, they have sensors on them that it tells the driver if a door is open, if a kid tried to open a door or whatever. So even though you might have not thinking that you had something apart or take apart, you might have an issue there. I had a problem with my my tool truck, I got 2 batteries up front and then 6 in the back, but I had a loose connection, literally loose at the terminal. It looked tight and it looked like it was there, but it just wasn't. So I had a charging issue, but I had a funny meter reading. I mean, my amp meter wasn't rock on. And then I knew something was wrong because it was down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Lewis, is to take it to the next step. I think we were talking about this on Sunday, to check for parasitic draw. The way the gold standard was an ammeter in series with the negative battery cable. I just read another article on through Motor Magazine. The thoughts have changed in the industry. That's a standby. It still works. But another way to do it is especially if you have the blade type fuses, you use a voltmeter across each fuse to measure for a voltage drop in a specific circuit. And another way that a lot of guys do this, which is cool, I haven't done it this way yet, but I want to, is with a FLIR, with a heat camera. You look for heat signature in the circuit, because anything electrical where resistance is high and the current is high, you're going to get heat, and it'll be hotter than something else.
Oh, okay.
So they're finding stuff in dashboards and on CAN bus. What, Brian?
And not to throw you over, but check each battery separate and disconnected. Don't have the batteries connected because they're in series or parallel. Series, no, parallel.
They could be either, depending on what the batteries are.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you 12 volt or 24 volt?
I don't know. They're dirty. Can't see them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just the way they're hooked up.
Oh, I think it's.
If it's positive to positive, negative to negative, it's parallel. If one goes positive to negative, then it's series. That'd be double the voltage. Parallel keeps the voltage the same, but doubles the amperage.
Yeah, because a lot of guys make this problem, like with I've seen them do it at the dealership, like on the F350, because it's got 2 batteries, and they'll go in and they'll hook a battery tester up to it. And actually, since we're talking about it, I'll pull one out on Ray before. Here's a battery tester.
Nice.
You know, and they will hook it up and do it, and they'll say, "Oh, it's good." And then they go over to the other one and say it's good, but then the truck has all these issues, and the reason why is because they didn't disconnect it and take them separately, and they will feed off of each other, and it can just be enough.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I just thought it was weird. I have nothing.
And anyway, if you have weak batteries, if you have batteries in the 4-year range, all it takes is one hot day and then one cold night, and it will throw a battery for a loop like you would not believe.
Yeah, and that happened here. Yep.
And you are in the heartland of your weather is almost as crazy as Maryland. I got a story to tell you about Maryland weather, because Sunday it was 82 degrees. I got my shorts on. I'm cutting the grass, loving life. I get up Monday morning and it was a little nippy, but I went ahead and put the shorts on and went, and I got to my first stop and it was sleeting and snowing. Thank God I had a change of clothes in the tool truck. So
not here, we didn't.
Yeah, it was crazy weather all week. All week has been crazy down here.
A friend of mine from Westchester County made a post, maybe yesterday, that he was using air to blow the antifreeze out of his motorhome because it was going to be like 16 degrees overnight. And he was like, I don't trust the antifreeze. I'd rather just have nothing in the system.
Yeah.
So he was forcing all the water out of his motorhome with air.
Wow.
Yeah. And he lives in Westchester.
That's well, once you get above the bridge, all bets are off. Yeah.
Crazy.
To Brian's point, Lewis, when I was driving my Mazda, this is about 2 years ago, and again, I had a little bit of an issue with a battery. I'm like, damn, that battery isn't that old, but I checked it, and it had to be changed. And I went and looked through my records, and I highlighted all the batteries I put in that car, and I buy 5-year batteries, and every one failed the 5th year, almost to the month. And this was like, again, it was like a month after or before, whatever. It was within a month's range of exactly 5 years. I said, okay, they put timers on these damn things now.
How do they do that?
I don't know.
Crazy.
Now, that's a car I drove every day, and the charging system was fine. There were no issues with it. So it wasn't in rough service. I mean, yeah, it had New York winter. It sat in the cold and the heat, but it did what a battery does. You know, it wasn't like it wasn't in the Arctic, and it wasn't not used. So,
well,
yeah.
I put a battery in my truck. Was it last week? I think it was, or the week before.
The new truck?
Yeah, and that's a 2020.
Yeah.
That I bought at the end of 2020.
Right.
And it was one of those things where every once in a while I would hit the start button, and it would be like, and then fire over. And I'm like, well, there's a boatload of heat under the hood, and I've had that happen before, where they basically just burn up.
Mm-hmm.
And I got stuck, believe it or not, in a rainstorm, gassing up the truck, and then I went to go inside to buy a lottery ticket, and I come outside, and it was like click, and I'm like, great.
I hope the ticket covered the cost of that battery.
Nah, I didn't have any numbers at all.
No.
So
you lose.
I got somebody to jump me.
Yeah.
And then I went over to the AutoZone, and I bought a new battery, which was like $200 for that truck. And I left the truck running, and they couldn't check it because their battery tester was no good. All kinds of crap. So I waited till the next day. This was on a Saturday, and I did it on a Sunday morning. I got up and I pulled the battery out. And the biggest problem is it's got these really horrible battery terminals on the wires. It's a band with this tiny little bolt.
10 millimeter.
It's at like a 40-degree angle. It's not even straight across.
Yeah.
It's like this.
And
you loosen it up with the little quarter-inch drive ratchet, and you take it off. The positive side, there's a big giant box that literally sits on top of the positive post. You flip the cover off, and there's all kinds of connectors in there. And there's this one thin copper-coated tang that sticks up, and there's a little sliding door. So if you need to jump, that's what you're not getting to the battery terminal. You're using some sort of connector, right?
Yeah.
So you got to take this cover off. Then you can finally get to the battery cable, and you disconnect that. And when I disconnected it, I took a look, and it looked like there was some kind of corrosion around the terminal, almost to the point where if I would have taken that stuff apart and cleaned the battery terminals and then put it back together again, I probably did not need to buy a battery.
Maybe.
But I put a brand new battery in it. I didn't put the battery on a charger or anything. So when I took it in for the core charge, it wasn't something that was worth testing, although maybe I should have charged it and tested it to see, and then just kept it and let them have the $25 core charge.
Just go find any other battery.
Yeah.
Right. But I didn't. I'm like, I'm done. I'm out of here. See you later. Bye. But it was a $200 deal. And it's the worst terminal ends that I've ever seen.
So you're going to wire all that stuff into your Firebird, right?
Yeah, right. But I'll tell you what, you guys are into this new stuff. I'm used to when you disconnect the battery on a typical car, you lose everything. Okay? I didn't. So are these newer vehicles, is everything like a programmable chip? I did not lose any settings on any of the memory stuff that's within the center stack, my Sirius XM, all my channels, they were all there. Yet everything was fully disconnected from the vehicle.
Well, now you got me, because I was going to say that's when you want to have.
Is there some other battery?
That's when you want to have that easy red
system?
tap with a separate battery source. You could power up the low voltage stuff. I've never seen a car do that.
Unbelievable.
Have you, Brian? That's news to me.
Well, usually, but did you say that when you changed the battery, the car was off, right?
Yes.
and you pulled the battery out and then put it in, right?
Yeah.
You should have never saved anything. It should have been dead.
Right.
Unless
I bought the battery Saturday, afternoon. I took the battery out of the truck. I stuck it on my wooden workbench over there by the garage door, and I went in the house. I didn't come out till Sunday morning. I didn't even bother starting the vehicle. I just lifted the hood, disconnected the cables. I had to use a bungee cord because that box that sits on top of the positive, it didn't want to lay over where I could get the battery out cleanly. So I had to put a bungee cord on it and bungee it across to like the other side of the engine to keep it standing up in order to get it out. The battery is like kind of under the cowl. It's a pain in the neck on the new trucks. It's a total pain in the neck. And I fully expected to be no presets left. That's what I'm used to.
Right.
Yeah, I bet your system is all satellite based. Everything is.
Oh, so it's like in the cloud.
Because I have the GM, whatever they call OnStar.
OnStar, yeah, OnStar is definitely cloud based.
Oh, maybe that's the reason.
They know where you
my
are,
presets, John. Even the presets on my center stack for my Sirius.
Yeah.
Well, some new electronics have something called flash memory.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and it just keeps everything for you. It keeps it in the system. It doesn't need battery backup.
Right, and as you change it, it re-records. It reprograms the chip, in other words. So that's the only thing I could think of,
Or the man's watching you.
Well,
yeah.
Either way, you got
I was
lucky.
kind of happy.
Cool.
Yeah, I was really happy that I'm like, oh wow, look at that, everything is there.
Yeah,
I didn't have to worry about it.
All right, so let me tell you guys about my second adventure this week.
Oh
Man.
Now, all of you guys have been around for a while, and you remember when I changed my whole fuel system on the Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I put new tank in, new sending unit, new braided hoses, everything, all the way up to the carburetor. Had the carburetor rebuilt. So went to move it yesterday, and I had a leak in one of my hoses, right next to the pressure regulator. Is that how you say it? Yeah. Regulator.
Yeah.
Fuel regulator. So change that hose. I have no pressure. It bled out. It had no
No residual.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
nothing was in there, right?
Right. So I blow air in the gas cap, blow air up. I prime it because my prime was gone.
It wouldn't prime on its own?
No.
The pump is supposed to be totally submerged.
No, I got the electric fuel pump on the rail. I added the fuel pump. I didn't put the fuel pump in the tank.
Okay, well, on a pump on a rail still creates suction.
All right, wait, let me finish. Yeah. So we get gas to the regulators, going to the carburetor. The hose from the regulator to the carburetor starts to leak. Brand new hose. So we changed that one.
Is this steel braided type hose or with
braided,
the fabric?
Yeah, it's braided, stainless braided, and I bought it off Amazon.
There's
and
still rubber underneath.
The whole thing, every hose I put on from Amazon
was leaking,
and it was leaking all the way through. It wasn't like a pinhole. It was like the inside just corroded or something.
All right, is it the kind is it a nylon inner liner or like something that looks like a rubber inner liner when you cut it to put the hose ends on?
Yeah.
So what probably happened is a reaction with the fuel. If you've got ethanol, the rubber that they use was not ethanol compatible. Yep. And then you've got the problem of the car sitting outside, heat and cold. That rubber probably hardened and cracked. Basically, you bought China hose.
Yep.
You bought something that you wouldn't even use to whip a dog with.
Right.
Don't buy Amazon hose.
Well, I know that now.
Yeah.
So I had to, you can't believe what I had to do just to get the car started and move it because I had to move it. You know what I mean? So, oh my God.
Well, you better be worried about particles of that corroding and screwing up your regulator, your floats, your bleeds in your carburetor. You may be in for a surprise where you gotta go sanitize the whole system.
And that's what I did. That's why I did all that to sanitize it. I started from the
Yeah.
tank. I put a new tank in, all the way to the carburetor.
But
So
you made the
now,
mistake of a China hose.
yeah, yep. So Tori, he just texted me, hollering at me about getting the right stuff.
He's usually
Yeah,
texting me
yeah.
on Thursday night. What's he doing texting you?
Oh man, I feel left out. I don't get no texts from him.
Yeah,
He
so
doesn't love me anymore.
I gotta do the hose from the tank. I dropped the tank again. Do the hose
Yeah.
from the tank to the pump.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
all
one of the
temporary.
things on the Firebird. When I go to do the plumbing, I want to actually talk to the manufacturers, because now they're talking about upping the ethanol up to like 15%,
Mhm.
which could really beat the hell out of anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to know, really, how am I going to be safe down the road? Should I be using a Teflon lined hose throughout
Okay.
the system, which is
See
a
this-
completely different deal?
You see this stuff here?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is Gates. It doesn't say the name here, but it's called Barricade. This is the stuff that you need, or something like this. It's multi BTO fuel compatible. This stuff is compatible for ethanol. This stuff too. This is fuel injection hose.
Right.
Over here on the right, this is Barricade. That's the trade name from Gates. They make it for use in external, if it's in the air like this, and they make the submersible one if it's a fuel pump in the tank. This is the submersible stuff. This stuff is like $20 a foot,
Yeah.
but that's what you got to have. And yeah, like this, my 3 inches of it right here, and there's going to be another 3 inches of it over there. But that's what you need to,
Wow.
yeah.
So-
that's the stuff
Yeah.
you need.
What sucks is this is all temporary until I put the LS in it. So then I'm gonna, you know what I mean? It's just a mess.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
The other thing I was going to say, Lewis, is when you said you had no gas, you have a carbureted system, so you're open to atmosphere.
Mhm.
And ethanol fuel, we just talked about this on Sunday, it evaporates. And my car, if I let it sit for like 3 weeks, it's empty. It's just all evaporated. I got to crank
Wow.
that thing and build fuel pressure from scratch again.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have that
Close-
problem with racing fuel in a race car,
Yeah.
like C14, C16, C18, that kind of stuff. It's really volatile. If you spill it in your garage or in the pits, it literally evaporates within minutes
Yeah.
once it hits atmospheric pressure.
Yeah.
And we use electric pumps, and some systems are deadheaded on carburetors. A lot of them have a return.
Right.
But you need to, any race car, you need to flip on the fuel pump and literally push the fuel through the system and blow the air out and fill up the carburetor float bowls or pressurize the fuel injection system before you even think about hitting the starter on them.
Yep.
Because if you've got that type of fuel in your car, when you go back to the car 3-4 days later to fire it up, all your lines are empty.
Yep.
It's
That's
just
what happens.
gone. It's just, and you could literally smell it out of the vent line.
Yeah.
Any car that's got a high octane race type fuel has a sweet smell to
Yeah, I
it.
love that smell.
It permeates the garage.
Yeah, it's great.
You walk in somebody's garage and they're running good fuel. You're like, oh, Cam 2 or VP. Or
Let's just
any
hang
of these
out in
other
here for a
companies.
while. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a really, really nice odor
Does.
to it. It's phenomenal.
I ran Cam 2 on one of my sports bikes back in the day.
Yeah.
That's it. Cam 2 is great. And another thing, which I guess none of you guys know, if you come across nitromethane, like at the drag strip, and you stick your finger in it and then taste it, it tastes like licorice.
We could do that test right now. I have a bottle of nitro in my garage from Billy
Yeah.
Lynch's dragster.
There you go.
Gave
Nitromethane tastes like licorice.
I've never tasted it.
Yeah.
I've had it lock my throat completely up,
Oh, yeah. Burning.
and it just
Yeah,
locks
yeah.
your throat. I've had that happen.
Yeah, we used to do that all the time when I was doing stuff with with Main Event Video. We were hanging around all these nitro guys all the time.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Did you ever taste nitro?" And I'm like, "Really? Why?" I'm like, "Come here, just stick your finger in here, just a little bit, and just
Wow.
touched it." And I'm like, "Oh my god, it tastes like black licorice." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay."
Never did that.
Don't drink it, but
Yeah.
you can taste it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty wild. It depends. A lot of people say it tastes like peppermint schnapps.
Okay. Well, that's similar.
Yeah.
It's
So,
the anise root is what
Yes.
it is. That's exactly what it is. Fennel. You ever have anybody in the garden grow fennel?
yeah.
I used to love eating that stuff out of the
Sure.
garden. It's the same thing. It's the anise root.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal.
It's great
Good stuff. Yeah.
Very good.
Ah,
So, yeah, you're gonna have to spend money on hoses again, which is kind of unfortunate.
yeah, I would see. But the problem with that, Lewis, is you got the braided stuff, which you went for the outside looking nice, but you didn't know what was on the inside.
Right.
And that's where they
Right.
cheated you.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would buy the
Sure.
I'd buy the stainless sheathing and make my own, and just crimp the ends, and like in the old days with the hacksaw and the electrical tape.
Mhm.
You can do that.
Yeah. So.
Well, you could use believe it or not, you'll see that they sell like wire braid hose cutters.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And really what they are is you just go to Lowe's or Home Depot. It's those cutters you use to cut small branches off of trees.
Lopping shears. Yeah.
Lopping shears is all they are. And they
Right.
resell them as stainless steel braid,
Yeah.
hose
Oh, yeah.
cutters. So go to the hardware store and just get you a set. And it's unbelievable. What I do with mine is I put one handle into the vise.
Hmm.
So the jaw sticks out.
Mhm.
And then, I mark my hose, and then you just stick the hose in it and you just go, whoosh, and it's a clean cut. If you use, a lot of guys use that air powered abrasive wheel, a cutoff wheel.
Yeah. The
But
disc.
what you're doing, you're putting the rubber that's in there, it turns to powder,
Right.
and you have to flush the lines before you put the ends on it. So it's that extra work you got to do.
Right.
And sometimes that powder will travel down the hose a ways. And even if you try to blow it out with air, you don't always get it. So you need to liquid flush it. It's a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
If you cut it with the blade, it's a clean cut. You're done. And then you assemble. Put a little assembly oil in and put it all together. And, you're finished.
Yeah.
So that was something that I bought. Oh, God. Back in the chassis connection days. The one I have has like the handles are probably about 30 inches long. It's made for lopping off pretty good sized branches.
Yeah.
There's probably 1,000 cuts on those blades. It still goes right through.
Yeah. I was gonna say at my friend's bike shop, they bought a bench mounted one.
Right.
So it's got just a handle that comes down, and
Sure.
it's got it looks like a parrot's jaw.
Yes,
It just
exactly.
comes and slices it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. And it's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
Just make that investment on one of those tools, and they'll last you forever.
Yeah. Hey Brian, you moved.
Well,
You're in a new corner.
Yeah.
You moved over to your right.
Oh yeah, look at that. What's that?
Yeah,
what is
sure
that
did.
that says Moroso? What are we looking at? That blue?
That
No, roll
it
this
over.
right here.
There you
This
go.
is it was a parts cabinet, ignition parts cabinet from the old gas station,
Oh.
and it's sitting on. Where I normally sit.
There he is.
Hey, Justin.
redoing
Hey, Justin.
redoing that area. Like I said, I've moved a lot of stuff. I mean, I've got a lot done. I still have a little bit more to do before I can really start working on the car. But
Right.
I had a couple of cabinets that are like that were ignition cabinets. They were blue and the doors were beige.
yeah, I've got
think they
these
were
were.
I think they were from Standard or something.
I've got
Not sure.
standard and Neoff.
Yeah.
Nehoff is red.
Yeah, they're like a orangish.
My standard
Yeah.
is blue. It's blue doors.
I
Yeah,
had beige doors on mine for some reason. I don't
Yeah.
know why.
and
had a
but
couple of
I painted these. This was old Ford blue, and I had my stripe kit from the Mustang. Everything, all my blue stuff is painted like my Mustang with the GT stripes down the back and
Nothing wrong with that.
You're so predictable.
Yeah,
I love the GT stripes.
Justin's in for the long haul, man. He's on the comfy couch instead of the kitchen table tonight.
Yeah, look at you.
So everybody's relocating.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm hoping to put actually they're almost done with the deck, and that's what I'm really waiting for, so that I can my door from the back of the garage goes out under the deck, and I can get that straightened out and get that corner straightened. And I started stockpiling parts. I think I want to build a rotisserie for the Mustang.
Oh.
So
Yeah, rotisserie is a good thing to have.
yeah, I
love
think
this.
I went into one of my shops
Phenomenal.
and the guy has a Volkswagen pickup truck, and he made it right-hand drive.
Wow.
And he's putting a newer Volkswagen turbo motor in it, and he's he's done a lot of work. So I walked into the shop. It's actually at the Ford dealership that I go to, and he was like super excited. Caesar's his name, and Caesar was like, Mr. Brian, come here, I gotta show you what I made for the truck. And I was like, all right, Caesar. So I go over there, and he had found in the back room 2 engine stands that were being, that were kind of scrapped out for parts.
Yeah.
He cut, and next thing you know, he made a rotisserie and put the truck up on that. And I was like,
engine stands. Wow.
And
Yeah,
so
that takes
then
a lot
I
of
got
work.
curious.
The engine stands really aren't tall enough. I mean,
Well, he cut it. No, he cut them and put in 3-inch tubes. I mean, he raised it up.
This one here, it's a tube inside a tube.
Yeah, that's what he did.
That it rotates on, and it's got a 2-ton long throw hydraulic piston.
Yeah.
So otherwise you have to jack them. I've seen them where it's a piece inside a piece, but in order to move it to change the center, you got to jack it up somehow. So now you're taking floor jacks, and you're putting pieces of wood in there, and you're jacking it up.
He
like
ran a
some
bolt.
bum.
He ran a bolt down in there and welded a nut in there with another, and
so he spins it.
And he spins it and it goes right up and down. And so I was curious after that. So I came home, went to YouTube, and I Googled how to build a rotisserie with engine stands. And there was about 200 videos.
Oh God!
Wow.
On there, and I was like, well, I got all the stuff laying around here, dude. I got 2 engines. I got 2 engine stands that I don't use anymore, and I got a crane that. So I was like, man, I get the plasma cutter out and start cutting.
See, all you got to do is show Brian a ham sandwich, and he's going to be making the better pastrami sandwich.
There you go. Yeah, see, this one's got the hydraulic piston to get it up where you want, and then I don't know if you can see it.
That's what happens when they get older. You got to put in a hydraulic piston to get them up.
There's a little wheel up at the top there for your fine adjustment.
Yeah.
To move the arm up and down within that front box to get your balance point, So this one's really easy, and I think it was like $1,600 complete, delivered with everything.
That's not bad.
And it's 3,000 pound capacity.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Is more than I would ever have to put on it.
That's the only thing I'm a little leery, because a Volkswagen pickup truck is kind of light compared to even to my stripped out Mustang. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but I was like, man, that made it so nice seeing it sitting there on the rotisserie.
I love having this thing.
Brian, what's the curb weight of the Mustang?
I don't know.
It can't be much more than 2,800 pounds, 2,900
That's what I
pounds.
want to say is 28 to 3. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So with the engine and tranny out of it and rear end out of it,
we're near
interior.
Yeah, but my fat ass sleeping in it though.
Like a hammock.
Right. Well, yeah, you got to keep it vertical so you can't sleep in it.
Yeah.
Justin, you're in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
You ever been to the Gilmore Car Museum?
I haven't, but that is one of my on my to-do list.
Well, my bleeding blue Ford buddy Evan Smith said that there's going to be a big show coming up. Hold on a second. May 7th.
Okay, I've heard about the show.
May 7th. He's going to be there with our good friend Abe Tang. They'll be filming for his YouTube deal, and it's this huge Ford and Mustang show. And he's got some pictures from last year. And there was some really cool stuff, like some vintage Lincolns and all different kinds of Mustangs and some Mercuries. So, like, you're near there, you ought to go.
Yeah,
take a day and go over there and check that stuff out.
For sure, I'd like to.
Go say hi to Evan. So it's I just got a post for that on Facebook, and I'm like, wow, I know you're near there somewhere. I don't know how far away it is from you, but
speaking of Lincolns, I just went up. I took a trip to the UD on Saturday.
I love Lincolns
because one of the guys up there he's brokering a deal to sell this '62 Lincoln suicide door, of course, convertible. And my buddy at work is interested in buying it, so I did the recon and took a video of the top working, which is a big plus.
Yeah.
And it found out that the engine was rebuilt, the tranny was rebuilt, it had been repainted. This car is like high-level driver ready to go.
Wow.
So it looks like we'll be going back there Saturday for him to get a peek at it. But that car is big. And I didn't know, I learned something. That car's a unibody. It's not body on frame.
Yeah.
What year was that? 60?
62.
62.
I had no idea. And I watched the video on it, and that's how I learned it. But that's how they got the car so low, because it wasn't sitting on a frame. And they were, I forget who the designer was, but they were stealing at that time the European influence. And, the suicide doors and the some of the dash stuff was European. But that's where they got the body, the unibody influence from also.
My dad had a 62, hardtop suicide doors. It was, believe it or not, he found it in the classified ads in Newsday.
Yeah, sure.
It was in Nassau County, all the way up on the North Shore, where all the huge money is.
Okay.
The woman's husband died, and she was offing some of his stuff.
Right.
And we went to go get this car, to buy this car. It was this beautiful semi-metallic blue, dark blue,
nice,
with a full white leather interior.
Beautiful.
With blue carpet and blue, headliner and dashboard and accents and stuff. And that car rode like a cloud.
Oh, yeah.
And those doors, they were like this thick.
Right.
When you shut those doors, they went boom.
I was just going to say, that was one of the takeaways. I told my buddy when I gave him my report, I said, I opened a rear door and it's pillowless. Obviously, it's convertible. I said, when I closed that door, it was like I closed a bank vault.
Right.
It literally just went click, click. And like you said, the door is like a foot thick.
Big and heavy and thick.
I said, that was a hell of a nice feel, man. That was nicer than a Mercedes.
Yeah. And it had those big gangster white walls.
Oh, cool.
With that, the hubcaps in 62, they kind of had it was like a round cap sort of in the middle, and then it dished, and it was like turban looking with the gangster white walls on it. It had Michelin's, I believe. It had a 460 4-barrel, and fully loaded. This thing was just totally awesome. My father was like, check me out,
Oh,
so
yeah.
he was all nice and happy with that. He had that thing. I forget what year it was when we bought it. But about 6 months later, his friend from around the corner, whose old man passed away and left him a whole boatload of money. And what do you think he did with a nice chunk of that money? He ran over to Motion. And he bought a Motion Mako Shark Corvette.
Oh, wow.
So he comes rolling up, and I was hanging out on the driveway with my buddies, and he rolls up in this Corvette, that looked 69, but it had that weird shark paint job. It was like almost white on the bottom and faded up into a dark blue.
Right.
And it had the larger fender bulges front and back. And it was a motion car. It had the motion tag on it and the whole 9 yards. And my father was like, son of a bitch. Unreal. So I was like, wow, what a cool car, you know? I just couldn't believe that. I thought that it was totally awesome. And I'm assuming that Joel kind of modeled that after, didn't GM do like a show Corvette that was similar to that?
Well, the Mako Shark was a Chevy.
Yeah.
Let me
And
see here.
check it out. Because he was building those things. But I believe GM built, I think the design of that was influenced by GM, had built a show Corvette like that. But his was
Well,
definitely
they had done a shark car, or they did one.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah.
The Mako
It was a
Shark.
motion shark. I don't know.
Yeah, the Mako Shark kind of the Phase 3 motion kind of looks
Right.
like a Mako.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But it was like a gray going into black, or gray
It looked
going
like a
into
shark. It had gills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was whitish gray, and it got darker. It was either a blue or a black, but yeah, I don't remember exact. But I do remember the paint. You know, had that fade, that reverse fade, light to dark, and that had custom wheels on it, and it had the motion, you know, badges and the whole deal. And I'm like, wow, that thing's really cool.
Did I ever tell you guys the story of the Lincoln? I had Carmelo Anthony's Lincoln.
Get out of here!
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
The one
Yeah.
from the TV show?
Yeah, from Unique Whips. It was
Unique, yeah, when they were out on Long Island.
yeah. I took it to a show in North Carolina, Charlotte,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was an indoor show. And I took it off the truck. I was taking it in. It was like, oh, I got too much gas in it. You got to run the gas out. Because it's indoors. So I called back to Unique. I was like, hey, too much gas in the car. What do you want me to do? He goes, oh, drive it around the city. Run the gas out. So I'm floating through Charlotte in Carmelo's car, right? So I go to McDonald's, and, it's all hooked up. So I'm coming down this hill, man, and I hit the brakes. Nothing. I was like, oh, what's going on here? No brakes. So they redid the whole car, but they didn't do the brake system. It still had the old brakes on it. So finally, I get down to the bottom of the hill and it catches. I was like, "Oh my god!" I thought I was gonna be on the news wrecking Carmelo Anthony's car. Yep, that was an exciting one for me.
Yeah, I remember when. What's that guy's name?
Will Castro.
Will. Yeah. So it was so weird that that he was there around the same time that I was doing stuff, and I never kind of crossed paths with him at shows or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I heard some rumors that I kind of relate what he did to what my buddies on the TV show did with the aquariums, and let's just say nothing was ever 100%. It was always built for the show, rush here, rush there. Oh, as long as it looks good from 20 feet on the camera, it's good enough. That kind of deal, and it was all about what celebrities they could drag into the show to keep ratings up. And I'm like, what a complete waste of time.
Yeah, it would have made him a lot of money.
Made him a boatload of money. And then he moved to Florida, and then it seemed like he floundered and went out of business. And I hear he's back on Long Island again.
No, I think his shop is in New Jersey now. Yeah, that's what got me started in all the celebrity stuff. That's where it started in 2005. I started hauling some stuff for him, and then I started meeting people, and and that's where it started.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
Now I'm almost somebody.
Hey, it's
you know who does a ton of stuff, and they're Long Island based, is Plycon.
Oh yeah.
I know.
Well, they were hauling for him.
They're from Green Lawn.
Yeah, they were hauling for him. They were just starting to get big.
Right, because they were a moving company.
Yeah,
that was their deal out of Kings Park.
Well, he started using them to haul some cars and put them on
Yeah.
TV, and that's where they blew up.
Yeah, because it was Plicanis is the family name, and they haul furniture, and they specialized in Florida hauls. They had multiple trucks going back and forth between Florida and New York, or
Snowbirds.
anywhere in between, up and down the I-95. And then they got into cars, and that's a whole separate division now.
Mhm.
He's got, I don't know how many, but I pass Plycon car haulers every single week
Oh yeah, they're big dogs.
down here in Florida, especially when there's the like the Barrett Jackson in Palm Beach or the
Mhm.
Mecum in Orlando. They're right there, man. There's Plycon trucks flying in and out of those places, bringing cars to auction off, bringing cars back that were bought. It's unreal. So that's a big division of what they do.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got nice too. I've passed him a few times.
Yeah. They're everywhere. And he's right down Kings Park. I think it's Kings Park Road. God, I haven't lived on Long Island in so long, I'm forgetting stuff. That's not good. Not good at all. You take Jericho Turnpike, and you head east, and as soon as you get under the Sagicos Parkway,
The Sagatos, yeah.
Sagicos, whatever it is, you make a left. It's Kings Park Road.
Okay.
You go north, and they're on your left-hand side, right in Kings Park. There, big lot. It's like 100 trucks there. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's big.
They are. Yeah. But like I said, they got their start moving furniture.
Reliable. Got really big.
Reliable. Reliable's trucks are awesome.
Too. Yeah, they got some big dog sleepers.
Let me tell you, man, they got some of the nicest towing rigs around.
Yeah, they do.
And they
Ones
make
with-
sure that their drivers keep those things polished and perfect.
Yeah, they got the super
You know,
cabs
it's like when
on
you
them.
go to. It's like when you go to. Well, I'm sure it's the same in NASCAR, but I don't go to NASCAR stuff. But NHRA, you go to the drag races at NHRA. Those trucks are absolutely spotlessly clean. You know, they pull in, and before they get to their parking space, there's always areas at all of these major tracks where they can wash these tractor trailers down, and they'll wash them, and then they'll park them, and then they get out and they polish them. I've seen the guys with the wheels making the Alcoas all nice and shiny, getting the outside spotless, you know, and you just walk up and you go like a guy like John Force. He's got like 5 or 6 rigs, boom, 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 and every one of them you could eat off of. So it's a boatload of work for the driver.
Well, public perception.
Yes, it's absolutely amazing. You know, I go when I go to the track, I'm just amazed at like guys like Force and the Schumachers. They literally put 2 or 3 rigs next to each other, but we're talking 5, maybe 6 inches max apart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do they do this? You know what
Close
I'm
your
saying?
eyes and hit the gas.
Because what they do is their boxes, there's doors in the middle. So they interconnect these like 2 or 3
they open them
53-foot
all up.
boxes for their workshops, for the the head of the
room.
crews, the computer room, the whole deal. So it's literally a working space spread out amongst 2 or 3 of these rigs, and you can walk back and forth between them. The doors open, and they have like a, kind of like a canvas, sort of like a bladder that zips in, that seals it, because they got the air conditioning going. They put a little aluminum ramp between the two, so it becomes one giant, multi-room workspace for the crew chiefs to do what they need to do, and the crews to be able to work on stuff. And when you're walking through the pits, depending on what side you're on, they're this far apart. And I'm like, how do these guys back these things in and get them that squared up without mirrors on the rigs hitting each other? And taking out a corner, because you got to you're a truck driver. When you swing a turn, the ass of that box is coming out.
Mhm.
So you got to be dead straight way before you're gonna actually stop.
You drive
I'm
them
like,
long
wow,
enough, man, they're like driving a car.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, these guys are
My-
just unbelievable.
My dad was the same way. He drove truck for like 15 years.
Yeah,
Just like nothing.
Yeah.
you just learn it.
You know, the guys that did the body work on my car, they've been the father and the son, and the son's only in his 20s. They've been driving trucks, and I mean, he brought my car on a flatbed to my house, and I widened my driveway to 16 feet, but you still got to get through the gate. I mean, he put this thing in the driveway, just inches from the fence and the car in the drive. I mean, literally in one shot, he just backed it straight up. I was like, I probably could have done that, but it would have taken me like a few maneuvers. One shot in, and then just drop the bed, drop it off. And his son, we were doing a tow job in Malvern. Had to take a car out of a. Let me remember now. How the hell did this work? We had to pick the car up and drop it off. It was an older woman. She crashed it, and the son didn't want to drive it anymore. Front end damage. So the guy, he was maneuvering himself into the yard, and the son was talking to me. He says, no driveway in the backyard. It's an old wood garage. I said, where are we going to put it? Right here in front of the garage? He says, yeah, I wonder, is it possible to get it in the garage? I'm like, well, the truck ain't fitting in the garage. He's like, I'm like, well, what do you want to, the car's going to get picked up like during the week for scrap. Why do you want to put it in the garage? He goes, well, my mom is home now from the hospital. She got pretty banged up. He goes, but I don't want her going to a window and looking out and seeing the damage, and it might upset her. I was like, listen, I can't promise you anything. We got to ask, the guy driving the truck. So he gets it in the back, and I tell him what the guy wants. He goes, let me see. And he looks. He says, And again, we're on just grass, and it's this old barn doors on this old wooden garage. He backs that flatbed up, and he got the car like halfway in. He had to know how far to go, because then he tilted it and let it down. And when he pulled away, that car was inside the garage. I was like, wow, we closed the doors. Then he did another one to me. They give me this Toyota where the front wheel was blasted. There's no right front wheel. Okay. And I had to change everything. So he brings it around on the flatbed again, and he's going to back it into the shop. He says, where do you want me to put it? I said, just get it as far into the shop as you can, and I'll jack it up. I'll do something with it. He goes, well, you want to put it on the lift, right? I was like, well, that'd be great, but I don't see how you're going to get it in between the lift posts. He got that car in, dropped it down, and boom, it went up on the lift. I was like, I can't believe it. When you see it firsthand, you realize the expertise. And like you were saying about these guys putting those boxes there.
Sure.
The other day, I parallel parked the tool truck down in D.C.
Did you?
Yeah.
Out of here.
And I got out, walked, and the guy sat there and said, he goes, you must have been driving that for a while.
Yeah, right.
I whipped in there with an 18-foot box truck. I parallel parked in between two cars. I mean,
Wow.
And he was like, wow. And I was like, yeah. And like I said, I get all the time. I'll be like, I got to run up to the grocery store, and I don't even think anymore. I run out and jump in the tool truck and drive up there. And my wife goes, you took the tool truck? And I was like, well, I drive it every day. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Wow.
You know what you should have told the guy when he was talking about you parallel parking? You should say, I'm friends with Elon Musk. He's got a system in there.
Nice.
Press a button.
Parks itself.
They were like, I can't believe you parked that thing there, or you got it in there. And
That's a lot of truck. You got to know your space.
Yeah.
Once you learn your space, it's pretty simple.
That's it. It's all about the space, and it's knowing how far to back up of the car in front of you before you swing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's those two things you need to know.
Well, it's funny when I was teaching the girls to drive, and especially like driving my F-350, because it's a pretty big truck, and crew cab and the whole 9 yards, and I'd take them out on a section of the road that was painted, it had the lines in it in the road, and we would stop and I'd say, now get out and walk around the truck and look at certain parts of the truck, because that way you know where you are on the road, you know, because you don't have these cameras showing you all this stuff like on the newer cars. But, you know, but when you're looking, you see, you know, the line in the hood where you're sitting, that means that's how far you're from the road or from the line. And you can get a judge and you know exactly where your truck is the whole time, you know. And it's funny because later on I've had, you know, both Brianna and Molly, because I've taken them out, when I take them out in their car, I do the same thing. You stop in the road, you get out and you walk around it and you can see where you're sitting. So you know how close you are to something when you're going along.
Yeah.
And I haven't done it with Emma yet, but it was funny. Emma has been driving the wife's car. Of course, that's automatic start. You know, it's a push button start.
Yeah.
So when we brought her car home and got her to drive it, of course, it has a key. And we said, okay, go ahead and turn it off. And she turned it the wrong way. So she grounded the gear. She's like, oh my God, what did I do? And I said, oh, you got to turn the key back. You know, it's kind of funny that you would think that somebody learning on the newer car trying to learn something that's not really that old, you know.
Everything's push button today.
Yeah, everything's push button.
There's a lot of stuff you can't trust though. Like I cannot trust the backup camera on the truck.
Yeah.
Because my truck has dual cameras and the lens, one lens is aimed down at your trailer hitch, which is great. Like if I'm hooking up to the boat, you get close and then you change to the other camera and I could literally put the ball directly under the hitch and not have to go, oh, okay, I think I'm close, and then put it in park, and then the truck rolls forward a little bit, and then you get out and you take a look, and it's like, I got to come back 4 inches. That back and forth crap, I don't have to do that with that lens. But the regular lens that shows you behind the truck, it's in the piece that the cameras are in is about maybe 5 inches wide. So the lens is not looking straight back. It's at a slight angle. So if I back up to my garage and I square up, I actually think that the camera, I'm squaring up by what the camera's showing me. When I get out of my truck, I'm like this at an angle.
Wow, really?
I am not in line with my driveway at all.
Don't you have markers on there? Isn't there markers that shows you when you're swinging?
Well, there's distance markers. But what I'm saying is like if I have it's yellow and then red. So it's 3 rectangles of yellow, and then it goes red for when you're further apart. So if I back up and I make the line that's in the screen, like say I have my garage door open, okay? So now there's that line in the concrete where your garage floor ends and your driveway starts. If I put the yellow line in my camera, dead on square with the line that's on my driveway, when I get out of the truck, I am not square to the garage. I'm off angle.
That's
because
weird.
The camera
Maybe it can be
does not look
readjusted.
straight back. No,
That's
it's just
crazy.
a little plastic lens. It's you can't move it. It's immovable. But it's
No, maybe the
I don't know,
line. Maybe you can have the lines adjusted.
Nah, there's nothing in there that you can mess with. It's just like the way it is. It's not.
Well,
The camera's not looking straight back, perpendicular to your car. It's at maybe 2 degrees off or something like that.
well, just thinking like Lewis is saying, maybe it's just nothing that you know about is adjustable. Maybe they're
So maybe I should take that thing out and see if I can move the.
No,
Yeah, it could be a
it'd be a
software.
computer.
software thing. Yeah.
deal. I highly doubt it. I know if I go to the dealership and say this isn't square, they're gonna look at me like you're an asshole. You got a camera.
You know what?
Yeah, but the beauty of it is you could back it up to that bay door and show them, look, this is what the camera shows, and look at the truck.
It's weird. So I just use it as a reference, distance wise,
Yeah.
and I still park based on what I see in my side view mirror.
Yeah.
It'd be on YouTube. YouTube it.
Yeah, I should
Right.
YouTube it, right? Because just everything that's 100% truthful is.
Yeah,
on YouTube.
right.
Yeah.
YouTube University.
It's a fact.
Yeah, exactly. Guys like
Yeah, but it'll show you. It'll show you. if
Facts.
telling
edible.
you the truth.
Facts.
What up, cover man? You back home?
Back home, made it home. How you guys
Time.
doing?
Man, what have you been doing?
Traveling the world, dude.
Yeah, I've been watching. Just watching your exploits. You meet all sorts of people.
Hanging out with
man, you
TV
haven't seen-
celebrities. You're
You haven't
bigger
seen
than
it
all
all
of
yet,
us.
man. I'm still dropping some stuff. I did go see Nelson though.
Really?
Nelson Gill.
How
Yeah.
is he?
He has a
He's
big
doing
shop,
good.
though.
I went to go visit him because I was in what was it? I was in Tennessee, and my flight was it was Friday night, Friday afternoon, Friday morning it was, and my flight is at 8 p.m. and here it is like 9:30, and I'm talking to my wife, and she's like, "So what are you gonna do for the rest of the day?" I was like, "I don't know. I was thinking about going back over to Derek's garage, mess around with him for a little bit." She goes, "Well, why don't you go see Nelson Gill?" And I was like,
you
"What am
go.
I gonna do? I'm gonna drive all the way there and hey, what's up, Nelson?" and turn back around.
Yeah.
It's she's like, "Terry, it's only like 40, 50 miles." I'm like, "Really? All right." So jumped in the car. Me and Nelson, we went out to lunch. We hung out for a little bit. Showed me the whole area, the whole what's it called? His shop. And he showed me where Leonard Skinner used to rehearse, right behind the shop.
Muscle Shoals.
Nice.
Muscle Shoals.
I just
It's in the
watched-
song.
Yeah.
I just watched that video on
Let me
Netflix.
tell you something. That's history.
Yeah.
Musical history. That studio has
And
recorded
we
some of the
actually-
most awesome stuff.
We also drove past the studio called Fame. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, I just watched
Yeah,
that video
right.
too.
Yeah,
Same
right around the
recording, yeah.
corner. Right around the corner. So I saw it.
Wow.
I was like, "Oh man, I guess I should be taking a picture of this." I guess.
Yeah.
You need to spend some time down there. How's this awesome little girl?
Oh, she's adorable. She's adorable.
She's phenomenal.
Yeah,
girl.
she's adorable. And we what's it called? Like I said, we hung out. I got back in time and everything like that. And I like Muscle Shoals. Muscle Shoals is nice. I was looking at a conversion van. I almost bought a conversion van.
Really?
Yeah.
I always wanted a conversion van, not the long ones, but like the G10, G20, whatever, the small one. And we got the windows and all that, and got the raised roof, the extended roof.
Yeah, so
I
you can
always
walk
liked
around.
that. Of course, I'd go Ellison in a second, huh?
So you can walk around inside.
Oh, well, like I said, when we go out to what's called Montauk, we spend like a week out there every year or something like that.
Yeah.
We go through there, and it'd be nice to take that out, or either go down to Martha's Vineyard or something like that. Take that.
Get like a G10 or a G20 conversion van,
Yeah.
4-wheel
Yeah, those
drive.
things are cool. Yeah.
Take
Those
it
things are
out
cool.
on the South Shore beach.
No, I
starting
take it in the LS Fest smokeout pit. There's gonna be an LS,
Pretty cool. too.
take it down a quarter mile. Tell the family, put your helmets on. Y'all know the drill.
Yeah.
You know the drill.
Oh, that's funny.
They're getting expensive, man, because the van scene's coming back pretty strong.
Yeah, because I
Right?
saw this one and I was like, man, it was obviously not abandoned, but it hasn't been. It's just in someone's driveway. There's other cars in front of it, but there's no air in the tires. It looks like it was,
One of those.
know,
I'm not
it-
selling it because I'm going to restore it.
Right.
yeah, well, whatever, or it could be just like, hey, I'm retired. We don't use this thing no more. We got a bigger one in the back or something like that. So if you wanted a couple G's for it, I would have been like, yo, all right, no, Nelson, pull it up. Let's, put it
Hey,
in
why
your
don't you-
shop.
Why don't you get you a minibus? Like
Can't do
Kenny.
it, man.
Oh, yeah.
You could do it.
Make a short bus.
Yeah,
Can't
get you
do it.
Kenny
Can't
like
do
Kenny.
it.
Get your short
Can't
bus.
do it. That's not my thing. I like a van, and that's it. Van and pickup. That's it. I gotta have both.
You should.
My son
you
is
should
like,
do
well,
a,
Dad,
you
you
should
already
do
got
a
a truck. I
van
said,
and
The
take all
Trailblazer
the
SUV.
cues from years and years ago in the 70s and in the early 80s when vans were big,
Right.
and do like a retro type van,
Oh, if I
Side
could find
pipes
a
and
panel
windows.
van-
dingle balls around the windshield.
Oh, no doubt. If I could find like a
You know?
G20 panel van, with
Yeah.
like the little diamond window in the back or something like that,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
I'd be
Crushed
like, yo,
velour
Ed.
interior.
I would just tell Ed Beards, go off. I like the Wizards. I like the Wizard. Go off.
Airbrush. You gotta have airbrush.
Yeah, to have
Right?
Ed Beards go off. Hold it for a
Big
year.
airbrush
do your thing.
mural. You got a unicorn on one side, on a cloud. You got the wizard with the pointy hat and the sleeves that hang down to here, and he's got that wand, and he's
Yeah,
casting spells.
Dragon.
That would be
I might do Shaft or Superfly or something like that.
Superfly.
I might
Shaft.
do-
Shaft would be cool.
Chef would be cool.
You can subconsciously put Wile E. Coyote in the side, and we know where you're really going, to the dark side. Putting
Go
the
to the
Coyote
dark side.
motor in.
You know,
The
I
dark
see
side,
so many
exactly.
people. Somebody's selling stickers of it's a back view of Wile E. Coyote, and they get a dent on their car,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and they put this sticker which shows you Wile E. Coyote's butt. You know, it shows him from behind, and you put it into the dent. And then there's
Like-
usually a road runner they put next to it, and he's like making a goofy face, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
unreal. I'm
I was
seeing them
pro
popping up
Wile E.
everywhere. Somebody's selling these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always pro Wile E. Coyote. I wanted him to get him.
You knew he was never going to do it.
I know it's just like I always wanted the rabbit to get a bowl of tricks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, the rabbit can't get a bowl, man. Come on, give him
Silly
a bowl of
rabbit.
tricks.
Tricks are for kids.
Nah, get the bowl of tricks to the boy. I mean, he's
Yeah,
a
right?
kid rabbit. Get him a
Lucky
bowl.
Charms, Leprechaun. There's a whole bunch of that stuff.
You know?
You
I don't
know?
understand why they couldn't give a man a bowl.
Well, woke culture's getting rid of all of that.
Yeah, well.
What are you going to do?
So I tell you what, while I was down there, I had some white lightning.
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh.
Really?
Yep.
I
I
had a
don't
sip.
like that stuff. It makes me sick.
Oh,
Well,
come
here's
on.
the thing. Here's the thing. I'm not a drinker. I don't drink at all. But Derek was like, "Hey Terry, check this out," and I was like, "Nah, man, I'm not. No." He goes, "It's butterscotch.
Yeah.
You give me butterscotch or butter rum, I'll put that on grits and eat it. I like butterscotch and butter rum. You know,
Butterscotch is
and it
good.
was just like
It
drinking.
tasted like butterscotch?
Yep.
It tasted like you were drinking a Werther's.
Are they
Really?
adding that to it?
I don't know what they did
Because
to this.
I've had white
They
lightning,
blew it
and it's
into
like
it.
drinking battery acid or
No,
Like
they
drinking
blew it
alcohol.
into it. Yeah.
I don't know what they did to this, but this thing was smooth.
Yeah.
Put it away. I had 4 sips.
The apple pie is delicious.
Oh,
I had
that one's
4
good.
sips.
Yeah.
Gave it back.
I
to
love
him.
strawberry.
I actually got it was caffeine. It was like coffee flavored moonshine.
Really?
Oh, so I would just take it and pour some in my coffee. You know, just spike the coffee a little bit. Fantastic.
It was great. And I even had some more after I ate lunch the next day. I was like, yo, Derek, where's that?
I got you drunk.
Ah, got going.
I was like,
Oh,
where's that?
boy.
Where's that?
Did you bring any
Like in the
home?
freezer. But that was it.
Yeah.
That
You
was
didn't
it.
bring any home?
No, yeah.
Was
get-
it
get-
was
get
it
arrested.
Georgia based? Was it corn or was it? Do you know where it was? Do you know where it came from? Because
I have no clue. All I know was in a bell jar. It was full when I first saw it, but then by the time I left it,
yeah,
It wasn't
because
full.
Georgia
Oh,
stuff can
no.
kind of taste a little gritty.
oh, not
or
me.
dirty.
Not
It's-
me. Everyone was taking a sip out of this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, there was a bunch of people
We
taking a
don't
sip
want
out.
you
It
to
was
go
beautiful.
to the dark side because then
Nah,
your
nah,
videos
nah,
will
nah,
change.
nah.
It's okay. Wait till you wake up in the hallway and you don't know what happened.
I will say this. I will be having some more when I go back down there, because
Oh, God.
you like this, John, because you like Cletus, right?
Yeah.
Cletus McFarland. So
Yep.
Derek's
He's
racing
here.
in the
Cletus is over here.
yeah, he's racing in the Freedom 500.
Yeah.
Derek, there's one that's going to
Derek
be
is?
next. Yeah, there's going to be one that's going
Coming
to be coming up in May. I think that's going to be
Yeah.
in Indiana.
Right.
There's going to be another one in September. That's going to be at Bristol.
Oh, wow. So they're moving it around to different venues now. Let me
So,
tell you something.
Derek-
This,
That's
this
closer
kid,
to me.
Everything this kid does turns to gold.
Oh, no doubt. He's got the touch. He's got the touch.
He's got the
So
he's
Derek asked
amazing.
me,
But you know
he
what?
actually-
He's a totally humble, regular guy.
I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah.
So-
He's super, super nice, and he's actually a little shy. But when he puts the Cletus McFarland hat on and it's 2 derb skis and he's ready to rock and roll and do it for Dale, he plays
for
the
Dale.
part, man. He turns that thing on. He turns that character on.
That
And that character makes him money.
no doubt. So I'm going to be. Derek asked me would I want to drive his, because they have like a burnout pit there,
Yes.
like where cars just do donuts and all that.
Yeah,
Derek has a 2003 Corvette. Matter of fact, it's one of the Corvettes that he picked up and like off of from the show. And he goes, Terry, if you want, I'll bring that Corvette and I'll let you drive that in the smokeout pit.
Hell yeah.
Only thing is that I gotta go. When that time is, I'm gonna be in California. I gotta go to a wedding. But then he goes September, which is gonna be bigger in Bristol.
Yeah.
Would you do it? I was like, absolutely, put me in.
Yeah.
Hey
You
Terry,
need a
if you
fill-in
want,
driver.
Terry, if
Huh?
you want, I'll stand in for your double. We look a lot alike.
No, because I don't want you to break the Corvette.
Nobody would ever know.
Because he says, do whatever
Nobody
you
will
want
ever
with that
know.
Corvette, blow it up, run into the wall at 50
Yeah.
miles an hour. We don't care. Just have fun. And we're gonna get some red, white, and blue smoke tires.
Yeah. Well, when he bought that circle track over in Bradenton, I mean, it was a defunct, out of business circle track. Place was a disaster. It sat for years, and then he got this idea that let me figure out what it's going to take to buy this place, and the money that he is able to accumulate from his YouTube channels and sales of swag. He's got like a gazillion different types of hats and shirts and coolers and I mean, everything you can think of. He's a marketing guru with that stuff. And he takes that money and he puts it right back. And he literally rebuilt the Freedom 500, the Freedom track. That's what he calls it.
Is that what it's called? It's called the Freedom Track?
Yeah. It's I think it's the Freedom track. I forget what it's called.
Freedom Factory, I think.
Freedom Factory. Yeah, it's called the Freedom Factory. And it's a circle track. It's not a very steep bank, but it's a banked circle track. And he put a huge burnout skid pad in the middle in the infield. He rebuilt the bleachers. He put an unbelievable sound system and lighting system in. He refurbished the concession stands. I mean, the guy, him and his crew, they worked. And they hired people to do what they need to do. The other stuff, they did it themselves. He did a lot of stuff on his own. And he's got, a bunch of friends that hang around him and they all work together as a team. And it's just unbelievable. The place is phenomenal. And he does all kinds of events there, all kinds of fundraisers, and then he's got all these different races. The 24 the 24 minutes of lemons, instead of the 24 hours of Le Mans, it was a 24-minute race. And he goes to the auction and he bought like 40 ex-police cars.
At a Crown Vics.
And they're all lined up. And his guys went through them to make sure the motors ran and that they had brakes and the whole deal. They went and bought a whole bunch of used tires to put on them. And then they invited all these people over to the track. And then they were able to paint their individual cars to suit what they were doing. And then they went out on that track and they ran around. There was some big names, really big names of motorsports people.
How fast are these cars getting up to?
I don't know.
These cars aren't doing like 150 miles an hour, are they?
No. You're probably not going any more than like 60 miles an hour with those cars. They're not prepared.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? They're Crown Vics. They're not running on race type tires. It is a bank track, but those cars don't get around a turn that fast, a bank turn. So the ass end's going to hang out. They're going to have oversteer. They're going to have understeer, depending on the condition of the suspension on the car. So it's crazy. It's insane. But he had a lot of big name motorsports people were there. People from all, guys that are into motocross, guys that are into drifting, NASCAR guys, drag race guys, because it's right next to the drag strip. They had everybody was there. The guys from Roadkill were there.
They're not doing 500 miles, are they?
No. It's a 24-minute race. It's 24 minutes. However many laps you could get done in 24 minutes is what it's all about. He does this kind of stuff.
That lemon race thing was like there was a limit. Like it was like you had to buy a car that was like $300 or something.
Yeah, right. The other one, that's the
that lemon one, and
isn't that like a 24-hour race?
Yeah.
That one, the 24 hours
Yeah.
of lemons.
And
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like whoever won, whoever lasted the longest one or whatever type thing.
I remember there was a guy that had a car. I don't remember what car it was, but he flipped it upside down and built it to run with the body upside down. He cut for the wheels and he flipped the body and then put the drivetrain in it. And I think he had like a little windshield that was, attached to the chassis, and he was sitting in this thing, and it was completely upside down, and it was running around the track. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff, There's people with like
people are
Peugeots
nuts.
that's a nutty race. And then Cletus said,
Wayne, what's his name, was in that one on the lemon race.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, him and somebody else went down and they picked up like this. I think it was a Peugeot or something, some roach infested Peugeot that was like when they were driving it, when they were getting, it had to show up or whatever, and they're like driving it down the road, and it was like all the crap inside was blowing around because they had pulled it out of this barn or something like that. It was kind of crazy, man. Yeah. And they get down there and they do that 24 hours or maybe it was 12 hours. This one was 12 hours or something like that.
I've seen the YouTube video of that one. That's pretty cool. And then, Cletus kind of jumped off of that. He's like, well, let's do 24 minutes. So he just does stuff. He does a lot of weird stuff. He's good. He's really good. It's amazing. And he was going to college to become a lawyer. And that never happened. Because he started with the guys that do motorsports videos.
The 1320 guys.
1320, yeah. Oh. They specialize in drag racing videos. And I believe he was a cameraman.
He did a lot of their social media stuff too.
Yeah. He did interviews, like the first or the second drag week. 1320 did a whole thing on drag week. So he got to meet some of the heavy hitters from drag week, and he made some friends with them. And then somewhere along the line, he just decided, I'm going to kind of do my own deal, and came up with this persona of Cletus McFarland. And it's worked really, really well for him. He's a partner.
Wasn't that name in a movie?
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. I just listened to him on a podcast and he talked about that.
Yeah, he's a financial partner in Motion Raceworks, which is huge. I think he infused a bunch of money into that company to move them up to the next step. They make a lot of stuff. Motion Raceworks has a pretty big product line, and he's involved with them. He's got a bunch of stuff going on. He's got a really, really beautiful house on a lot of property, just a couple miles away from the Bradenton drag strip. And then they recently bought a shop. They were renting a shop that was like in Sarasota, I think. And they found something really, literally like, I don't know, a mile away from the drag strip. He bought a piece of property, and there's a huge building on it, and then like a big, like a lean-to outdoor parking, but covered over. And that's where he keeps like all of the different project cars that he's got, the Corvette, and it's a full working shop where they keep stuff running and modify stuff that they get. And it's right there. So he's like around the corner from his house, around the corner from the drag strip and the Freedom Factory. He's got this whole deal in Bradenton. It's like Cletus land over there,
It's a Cletus land.
It's pretty cool. It's good. Yeah.
All right, guys, we gotta get
I love when somebody does stuff like that. I love seeing people, get over the hump.
Okay, Jim.
Yeah.
Be successful.
Take care, guys.
Jim.
Yeah.
All right, take care,
Jim.
man.
So long, Jim.
It was some racing podcast he was on.
Week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump up.
See, man.
All right, Lewis.
Okay, Mr. Lewis.
Good luck with the fight with your Your zoning variances there.
Yeah, God, that's nothing worse than having a mess with City Hall.
Right.
Yeah, you might see me on the Worldwide News.
yeah.
Oh God.
It's always
Please.
something, right?
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right. See you guys next week.
All right.
See you, man.
Hey, Terry.
Yo,
My wife was like, "You got to get the drums out of here." So where are they?
No, that's not it, John. Where the hell did they? Well, they were
There.
against the wall.
They're there, but right now they're covered. With,
Oh, they're covered. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't see
they're
the
covered
tower
with
of
black sheets.
tower of percussion.
There's two towers of percussion sitting here in my.
let's set
garage
them.
now.
Let's set them up. Let's see if Johnny Boy rock it
I
on.
I don't have room right now with the Firebird here, you know. But
Well, tell her
if
she wants the drums in the garage, the Firebird's got to go outside.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
plan
gonna
on
happen.
setting them up, but not at the moment. Let's see if I can untangle. I might be able to move some stuff here. So
I was at the county bus lot, the school bus lot, and in a dumpster was a drum set.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they kind of look like that. They were black and they had that, but they had somebody had kicked in all the
heads.
The heads. Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
They get replaced anyway.
There's a snare drum that's worth some money right there.
Superphonic.
Yeah, Ludwig Superphonic.
Beautiful.
I got a taken a picture. I didn't see any.
I got I have a maple one too. I got the stainless steel and I got a maple.
Is that a 6.5?
That's a 6.
6. Okay.
6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16, 16, 16, 18. 2 snares and 2 24-inch bass drums.
See, that's the problem right there. Your wife, I don't blame her, man. You got to have a whole room for that drum set, man.
It's huge, dude. It's huge.
And there's proof of John's hidden dyslexia, where he has to have every size.
Right?
And
No, I was recreating a Ludwig Octoplus. So what are you gonna do? That's what they do.
Yeah.
And then, believe it or not, I don't treat my stuff properly, but there's a whole stack of Zildjians just
that's
sitting
nice.
there.
Ooh, get a little crusty up there.
Yeah, they are.
Polish.
They need to be completely polished. They're a mess.
Yeah.
I heard ketchup. You can use ketchup to clean them.
I heard that too. It's the vinegar in the ketchup that cleans it. That's what does it.
Yeah, so
It's a mess.
they are
It's a
tarnished
mess.
because I have the majority of my cymbals are A customs. And A customs are those highly polished, like mirror finished ones.
Right.
And every one of my cymbals is dull brass.
Yeah.
They are dirty. If you look underneath them, though, the underneath part is shiny with fingerprints.
Yeah.
Fingerprints, yeah.
The tops, you know, being here in the garage when I had the system set up, the dust just lays on top of the cymbal and then it turns the cymbal totally dull. I need to, when I get this car in the paint shop and I set everything up, I need to start respecting the instrument because
You gotta respect the instrument.
well, yeah, I really screwed up by letting my cymbals, you know, basically turn to shit. But they'll come back. They'll look good. My only problem is some of them are so bad that I don't know how I'm going to bring them back without literally pulling the Zildjian painted logos off.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about taking one of the cymbals over to my local vinyl guy and have him scan the logo. And then what he can do is he can make me a vinyl, what do you call it?
Well, I'm sure they're on eBay, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
what I'm looking for, though, is I'm looking for a vinyl stencil.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to put the vinyl on the
No,
on the
you
cymbal.
don't want it.
It'll mute the cymbal.
And it
No,
lumps down.
I know that, but I'm saying it's probably already one on there. I mean,
Maybe,
somebody's
yeah.
probably already did it. Where you just
I need to look at that because
Yeah,
that would
when
be
you go
good,
to clean those cymbals, man, that's the first thing that goes.
Well, John,
Right.
you could probably take a tracing of it too. You could use like a tracing paper
Yeah,
and do it by hand.
I would rather just take a good photo of it and then have him figure out what to do, because I noticed, depending on the size of the cymbal, the logo changes size.
Yes.
Like a
yeah.
Zildjian on a 14-inch hi-hat is not the same as the Zildjian
Oh,
that's painted on my 22-inch rod.
no, of course. It
That's
would look
larger.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. So, once he's got that file, they can resize it. So I could say, okay, I need it, 3¼ inches tip to tip on the A, and that'll automatically resize the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can get those stencils from him. I can polish the symbols perfectly, lay that stencil down, take some black paint, and then peel it.
The
And
only
now
problem is,
it
though,
looks like a brand new symbol.
you probably have to clean off the polish. It's like taking the wax off a car before you pinstripe it,
Yeah.
because
sure.
the paint over the polish, it may not stick.
Yeah, but I'm sure I could do it, and bring them back to what they're supposed to look like. And that's the reason later on I went over to Walmart and I bought black king size sheets, bed sheets. And then when I stopped playing the drums at night, I would hang. To do my kit takes 4 king size bed sheets
Wow.
to go around the kit and
I could
literally
cover mine with one.
cover the drums, because I was getting all kinds of dust was building up in where the head goes over the rim
Yeah.
and in between the hoop and the head.
Right.
I would take the hoop off and there would be a boatload of junk in there,
Like
Yeah.
belly button lint.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I need to get my act together with that and get back to playing again. I haven't played it's been a while.
That's like riding a bike, man. You'll sound horrible at first, but then you'll
Sound
get
horrible
back.
even on my best day. Trust
Yeah.
me. The John that played drums in the 70s and the early 80s is not the John that plays drums now.
No, none of us
Oh,
are,
totally.
unfortunately.
I'm fatter. I have less ease of movement coming around the kit. I can't get there anymore because there's too much of me and not enough bone movement. You know what I'm saying? No, it ain't there. It's not there.
No,
I could do
the Terry in the 90s, late 80s.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Me too, man.
2000s, all that whole 20-year span.
Drummer
Terry.
John is
Oh.
left the building.
It's
No.
amazing how much it changes and right before your eyes.
Oh yeah.
Nah, you know what it is. I mean, like when you can practice 2 hours a day, and then you go to once I had my little boy,
Things change.
I want to play with this guy. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Well, you know, your priorities shift. You got different responsibilities.
Everything shifts.
Yeah.
And as soon as I go
Everything
downstairs to try to say, okay, I'm going to start practicing and all that, as soon as I hit the drums, here he comes and he wants to play. So now you can't really, because it used to take me about a half hour just to warm up.
Yeah.
Back in the late 70s when I had the band Blue Steel, we had 2 guitarists, so they were like co-leads. And Alan's dad is really good friends with a producer. It was the guy that signed Billy Joel to Columbia Records.
Wow.
And he used to come around all the time, and hang out with Alan's dad. And we were playing one day, just practicing, getting ready for it. We were getting ready to do a concert in Dix Hills Park. They have a big outdoor, they had, I don't know if they still have, a big outdoor band shell. And it's like in a valley. So people are sitting on the grass and they're naturally, going uphill. So it's almost like a real amphitheater. And we were doing a concert there. So we were practicing. And Alan's dad was talking to, I forget this guy's name. And he was like, so what do you think? It's like, oh, yeah, they're good for high school kids. He says, well, I'd be honest with you. He says, the drummer can go somewhere. And then Alan's dad told me that. He's like, this guy says that you got a future if you keep at it. He goes, I'm a little upset that my son's not a good enough guitarist.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, the drummer, he could go someplace. He could be a studio guy, a session guy, or he could fall into a band and get out there and be a legit pro. And I was like, wow. And then like 2 years later, I had sold the drum set and I was so heavy into cars, and that was the end of the road
Yeah.
for a lot of years, you know? And I'm like, I just couldn't see it, you know? I just didn't see. I love playing drums. I loved it then. I love it now, but I just couldn't see that was going to happen. I wasn't ready to try to pursue that.
Yeah.
I didn't know where to go, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. They could say, "Oh, the drummer has something," but then, okay, direct me. Where should I go? How do I?
Yeah. Well, I never pursued that, you know.
And then
I never asked.
the thing is, you either got to be a very proficient at reading music, or you got to be
And
like
that's something
Hal,
I'm not.
or you got to be a Hal Blaine who can just go in there and do
Right.
anything.
I'm
Jeff
not.
Porcaro or something,
Back
you know.
then, I knew basics, but I could not. A, I couldn't write drum parts, and B, if somebody had like that movie was on the other night on FX. Was FX or Showtime? The one, you know, the guy that does the car insurance commercial.
Yeah, Whiplash.
Whiplash was on.
Hate that
And,
movie.
and
I hate that movie.
he played such a freaking nasty part.
Yeah, I hate that movie.
And that
He was Vern.
bleeding.
He played Vern Schillinger in Oz. He was one of the
Yeah.
inmates in Oz. That's how I know him.
Oh, okay.
You gotta
So,
tell us how you
I
really feel.
sat down. I was doing something,
What's that?
and I was watching something that I had recorded, and then when I shut it off, that channel was on, and Whiplash was on, and it
Yeah.
was like the last 45 minutes or so, and I just couldn't go to sleep. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to sit here and watch this movie all over again, you know? And I
Yeah.
felt bad for the kid.
Yeah.
His hands were bleeding.
Bleeding, right.
And you know, and he, as a conductor, he played a total asshole.
Yeah, I don't. You know, I guess I just don't agree with didn't agree with his methodology of.
Yeah.
You don't have to beat somebody to
And was
death.
he based on somebody real?
I
Was that
don't
movie
know.
Based on somebody? I need to research that.
I looked it up a while ago when it came out, but I don't remember. I just remember it just really pissed me off because I said that's not the way to motivate somebody.
No.
I mean, I can
no,
understand
not at
pushing
all.
somebody to make him better, but this kid was good.
Yeah,
You know, he was good, and you know, I don't know.
It was unreal. But you know, when they're talking about, he would they would start playing and then he would stop them and then he was like, okay, take it from 22. And I'm like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
and a professional musician, that's their job. In
That's
other
right.
words, they get that. If he says, all right, let's start at 24.
Right.
They know where 24 is in these sheets of music. and
Right. Right.
boom, they're right in. And tell that to me, I don't know where the hell you're at.
Right.
Dude, if I'm going to be in a studio, we're playing that song from the beginning to the end. I ain't coming in the middle.
Right.
Don't tell
right.
me to start at bar 17 because
Yeah.
I don't know what bar 17 is.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I'm lost with that. Just like I get lost with that guy we watch on YouTube
Oh yeah.
that picks apart.
Well, yeah, because
music.
he picks it out musically by how
Right.
it's written. Right.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and so does the other guy. What's his name? Oh gosh, the guy that does little bits of music, and he'll get like a drummer to come in and do some stuff, or he gets like a keyboard guy. You know who I'm talking about because I think you follow him also.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of.
He's got an Italian last name.
Yeah. I'm looking at his face. I'm seeing his face.
Yeah, he's got salt and pepper hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
Beato.
Oh, Beto. Rick Beto. Yeah.
Rick. Yeah.
Oh, the
Rick
guitar
Beato.
player.
He
Yeah,
plays
yeah.
guitar, drums, keyboards. He plays everything.
Plays everything.
Yeah.
But he does the same thing. A song
Right.
will be playing, and he goes, "Yeah, it's a D7 major going
Right.
to a D flat," and I'm like, "What are you talking
Right.
about?"
Right.
I don't get that, you know.
Right.
And same thing with that other guy, the what's his face, the Daily Doug.
See,
That
that's
guy
why I never
Doug.
got like with drums. I did start to read music early on and stopped. But like even with drums, like okay, you could have a snare hit, but what if that snare hit is supposed to be closer to the rim or in the center? Like how do you designate that?
Well,
Or
you
how
know,
do you hit a hi-hat? How do you designate a hi-hat if you have the hats open an eighth?
I watched
How do you do that?
something from Drum Channel that kind of
Nick
spoke
Virgilio,
about
Di
that.
Virgilio, he's another good guy.
Yeah, there was a thing on an episode of YouTube about from Drum Channel that I was watching the other day, and they were talking about that because when you write drum music, you're using the staff to represent the different size drums. In other words, higher it'd be a small tom tom. Down the bottom below the staff is your bass drums. So you're running up and down the staff. You're not writing music in terms of notes like a piano.
Right.
But then they said it's really, really hard to determine, is it where you're like hitting a hi-hat and kind of giving it a little opening?
Well, that's what I mean, a little splash, yeah.
Right. And he said that
the
kind
notation
of stuff
for a
is
hi-hat
really
is an X, but then you have the open, the little zero, which means that's where you open it. But it doesn't tell you how much.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Is it a 16th? Is it a quarter? Is it like it could be a lot of different ways.
And then what about like when you're say you're just doing a regular ride deal, but what about your ghost notes? If you're doing if you're doing jazz, you're not only hitting the snare drum, bam, but you might be going in there and doing like a
double,
16th,
the ghost note,
triple, a 16th ghost.
Yeah, the ghost note, I think is like it's a weird notation on the snare. Damn. But to me, I think some of the best drummers are just
natural drummers.
It's natural drummers, man. I mean, like there's so much nuances. I mean, like where, like you said, a ghost note. I mean, like, are you going to really actually play the ghost note exactly where it is and stop it where you do? I mean, to me, most people who aren't drummers don't know that, and to me, drumming is a feel. To me, drumming is a feel. I mean, like,
it is.
Well, guitar too.
Someone who's writing a song, if he's a drummer, okay, fine. I just don't see that happening. I see like people who write song, guitar players, piano players, and they'd be like, okay, fine, I want this. And even when I played in the studio a few times, they were just like, I'd listen to the bass and figure something out. And I'd be like, well, tell me what you have in your head. When you wrote this song, you must have played with a drum track or either like a drum machine or you had some type of groove in your head. So just say bass, snare, or bass, snare, bass. Just let me know and I'll fill in, like the proper colors. Just let me know what the kick and the snares are doing and I'll fill in what needs to be, I'll take it from there. Sure. And when I used to play with bands, man, they'd be like, okay, fine, right here. If you could do this and do that and all that, no problem. Okay. I want the main groove to be, bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, snare. And I was like, if you could do a beatbox, cool. If it's, no problem. And that's how most of the time I get it because they're not gonna write down a notation on the drum,
There is theory behind it though. I need to actually talk to a couple of friends. I have like two friends that went to colleges. Like one's a Juilliard guy and one's what's the other music school that's real big? Man, I forget the names of some of these places. I got a friend that I grew up with that lives out in California, and he went to school, and he's a studio drummer, and that's how he makes his living, and he still plays on his original 70s vintage Octoplus blue Vista lights.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. His parents bought it for him, and then he added on, and he still has that kit to this day. It's phenomenal. That beautiful blue, clear blue.
They're remaking that now.
Yeah, RCI up in Connecticut makes some awesome plastic drums.
That's that reminds me of like this set that I bought. I never played on it, but it was my old drum teacher, and that's why I think I told you a story. He says, "Listen," he goes, "the hats, the hi-hat cymbals." He says, he said he had sold some of his original stuff to one of his drum students years ago, and then he found out because he's hooked up in the community. Everybody knows everybody where he lives. The kid sold the stuff to a music store.
Wow!
And he went and bought it back because. So he says to me, he goes, the kit was from another guy. He goes, but these hats, are the same hats that you played on when I was teaching you to play drums.
That's the best.
He goes, and the throne is the same throne you sat on. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So the hats are Zildjians, but they don't have even any, the Zildjian lettering is gone off of them because they're so
Yeah.
old. Because these are the actual symbols that you hit that many years ago.
That's
Mike.
so cool.
That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. So
I would love to find out what happened to my stuff when I sold it. I was working
I sold mine to a music store too.
I was working in a bar, and it was in Comac, called Baby Yui's.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was in Comac, and it was part of the OBI chain.
Okay.
It was an offshoot, but it was
That's
owned
right,
by
I
the
was always
guy
at
that
OBI.
owned OBI.
Yeah.
And there was a young kid who was the bar back, and he was the guy that, with the ice cubes, bringing the ice cubes and filling up
Right.
the ice trays, taking the dirty glasses, bringing them in the back, putting them in the dishwasher, getting them all nice, and then bringing them in those green plastic
The
trays,
rack,
bringing
yeah.
them back to the bar. That was his deal.
Yeah.
And I was looking to buy headers, Krager Super Tricks, and slicks
Yeah.
for the Firebird back in the days before it was a narrowed rear car. And I sold him my double bass kit with Zildjians, two tom-toms on a Ludwig stand, 2 floor toms, Superphonic snare. I sold him that whole kit for like $700.
Wow.
Yeah. Which back then was quite a bit of money for a
Yeah,
whole
right.
kit, but those A Zildjians from the 70s,
Yeah.
they had sound,
Yeah.
and to find those cymbals again, you're paying top dollar for that.
Oh, sure.
70s vintage A stuff,
Sure.
And when I got back into drums, I had walked away. It's like I did with the car stuff. I put it so far behind me that whatever happened since, whatever progress was made, whatever new things had come out, I didn't know about any of this,
Right.
So when I went to go look for Zildjians and went on the website, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
There's so many different kinds of cymbals.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a lot of stuff is all about white noise.
Mm.
That's a big thing, is all of these noise cymbals to make that like white noise type sound is actually part of drumming now, which that did not exist back then.
No.
The only thing that was kind of funky was like a China cymbal,
Right.
Like
Right.
Zildjian had the pang cymbal that, to me, my ear, it sounded like absolute shit. It was like beating on a garbage can cover.
Well,
And I'm like,
yeah,
why
the
would
pang.
you use
Yeah.
these things,
The pang symbol does, yeah.
But then,
But if you remember,
I see videos of Billy Cobham
uh-huh.
using it.
Oh yeah, it's in Stratus in
Stratus.
Stratus. He's hitting
Yeah.
the pang. And remember, Buddy Rich had a little 4-inch China right in the middle of
that
his.
was like,
Just a little
it
ching,
made the shortest little.
Yeah. ching.
You hit it and it just decayed instantly.
gone,
And I'm like,
right?
why bother?
Because it
Yeah.
added to the
Yeah.
groove. It added to his. That
So
was that
it
little
just
ching.
weird for me, to find cymbals, and then the prices were like, whoa.
I mean, I thought it was hot shit because I actually had an old '70s ride cymbal with the rivets in it.
I love
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get. I went.
would
You know
love
what
to
I
have
did?
that
I
back.
went and bought the cheap way out. It's that little ball chain.
Oh right, you put the chain on it. Yeah,
You put it
Yeah.
over
Put it
the
on
top,
right.
and
right,
it hangs down, and it actually
Yeah.
makes your cymbal sound like a ride cymbal.
Yeah, mine was
And then
called
when
the
you're not
sizzle.
using it, you just roll it.
Right,
Yeah.
it was called the sizzle cymbal because of that.
Yeah.
Sizzle.
I like
And
that.
I had one of those, and I tell you what, I missed that.
Yeah,
And I will take my cymbal that I want to do that. If I don't buy one, I'll take the cymbal that I want to turn into a sizzle ride to somebody that can drill it and put those special rivets in it.
Yeah.
And I just love the sound, that constant wash
that's
of a
well, that's
big,
for jazz.
heavy.
It's a-
It's
that's a
great for
jazz
jazz, for a slow riding beat,
Right.
and you hear that.
right. It's almost like
It
it's
fills
almost
in
like
the back.
it's like bias ply tires on a wet road, just
Mhm.
going down the road. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
love
on
the
that
sound
note,
of I love the sound of a ride
too.
that's got rivets
I
in
do
it.
too.
on that note, I'm gonna head on off and get my butt in bed because I'm still tired. I still got the jet lag.
All right,
Okay,
Terry.
brother.
Good seeing you.
It was good seeing
See
you.
you, man.
Always a
All right,
pleasure,
Terry, take
gentlemen.
it easy.
Take care.
All right, bro. Call me when you do that stuff. Oh, he's gone.
Them coming to Indy, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not far.
No, I haven't been to Indy since I went to PRI. I like Indy, but it's not the kind of place I want to live.
No.
There's not enough going on. That's the problem with growing up in New York.
Mm.
It's hard to move anywhere else
Yeah.
because it's just, half an hour, 40 minutes, you're downtown in
That's
New
what
York
my
City.
brother said.
Yeah.
It is. It's difficult. It's real difficult.
He comes home and he's like, "How the f
Do
do
you
you
live here?"
handle
Well, he's in Brooklyn too. He's in a new gentrified Brooklyn, which is, that was like the lowest city back in the 70s. It's hopping day and night.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is.
Except
That
when you got
dude-
assholes on subways that light off
Right.
smoke.
it?" Yeah,
29
that dude.
people. Yeah.
That dude that on the subway, he was like 5 blocks from where my brother lives,
Yeah.
where they got him. Yeah.
What a moron. Notice how they squashed that story,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
right? When's the last time you heard anything about that
Nope.
dude?
The day after that was
The
it.
day after he was arrested, they shut his ass down.
There's
You
a
don't
lot of
even know-
stuff.
You don't even know if that guy's alive.
There's a lot of stuff that they squash and don't even talk about anymore. That
Right. Which makes you kind of wonder if these things are done on purpose.
Well, what about the thing that just happened yesterday? They thought that there was a plane invading, right? And it was a freaking army, the Golden Knight, parachuting into the ball game. But
Right.
they said, well, the army didn't. The army, the Secret Service didn't communicate. How the fuck does that? How do they not communicate?
I don't
in
know.
2022.
We ate dinner and I sat down, put up the lounge, kind of laid it back, and ABC News with what's his face, that young guy.
Mahler, David Mueller,
David, yeah, David,
whatever his name is.
whatever his name, David, whatever, comes on, and that was like the first thing that he talked about, that there was something going on with the Capitol. There's a plane. It's in protected airspace. The whole deal. I looked at my wife. She looked at me, and I'm like, I hope they blow that building to smithereens. That's all I wanted. I'm like, you know what? It would be awesome to have that kind of attack at the Capitol. I'm sorry that I say something about that about my country, but there's nothing but shitheads that work in that building. So why even have it? And then they find out, oh yeah, it was a guy that was parachuting into the game. I'm like, oh well.
I tell you that
What do you
Glenn Beck video that you sent.
Right?
Was
Is that
something.
an eye opener?
He's a little hard sometimes the way he jumps around.
Yeah.
He was losing me with some of the stuff because I don't really know the players all that well. But yeah, he was making some good points. I'll say that.
It's amazing how a few people with ridiculous unlimited money,
Right.
they can't do that $2,000 party contribution because then there's a paper trail.
Right.
So they spend unlimited amounts of
Right.
money with these nonprofit organizations that don't have to keep records. And then they disseminate that money into these groups that push to get the government to do what they want. And then the people that are running those companies wind up working in the White House.
Well, that's what I found amazing when he started naming names. Jen Psaki and
Peppermint
all the rest of-
Patty. Peppermint Patty worked for one of those companies, and
Where
there
did
she
they-
is spewing
Right.
her fucking bullshit every
then-
night.
And then the judges going the whole thing with the judgeships, and I'm like, holy
Yeah, right.
shit.
So that woman that became the Supreme Court judge, she was destined to be a judge.
Yeah, right.
While he was still a vice president,
Yeah.
she was going to wind up getting in to become a Supreme Court judge.
Uh-huh.
So, the news and the media, they move stuff around and they get you all crazy and nutty, and they come up with these storylines and all this bullshit. But let me tell you something. Her fate was predetermined 15 years ago. It was a matter of just wait till your time comes.
I got to tell you, the perfect adjunct to that was that article that I sent.
Yes.
That was long. I mean, I printed it and read it. It was 26 pages.
Yeah.
But I read through it and I said, holy it was the same thing as watching the Glenn Beck. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This guy really paralleled everything through the history of the country, in modern history, just like Babel falling, in the Roman Empire. It was like.
And think about it, there it is. He's got the hard facts, yet 90% of this country has no clue.
Right.
No clue. And if you try to tell them, well, look at this, right away, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're prejudiced, you're this, you're that, you're the bad guy, even though this is the truth. You just don't want to hear the truth.
Not only that, but I got to say, too, I back off a lot because I know what I don't know. And I know I don't know a lot. So, you don't want to speak out of ignorance. You don't want to speak. You want to speak from fact. And I think most of us don't know more than we do know by design. They don't want us to know it.
Exactly.
And the little bits we know, it's you're lucky if you can get two pieces that intertwine that you can put something together. We know this fragmented stuff, and that's the way they want it. They don't want us to know.
And the more that I find these things out, the more I just get upset. And you got to throw your hands up because what am I going to do?
Right.
Really,
you're gonna do
what
shit.
am I going to do? Because I would love a platform where I could get out and people would hear it, but the media is going to shut you down.
Right.
Okay? You've got huge corporations running all of this social media. You make one peep of truth, and they're like, you're out of here.
Actually, in that article, they did talk about, it was kind of very interesting because they covered politics, they covered social media, that hydra-headed monster. They covered education, which was pretty cool. The state of education. Your wife may want to read that part. That was getting towards like the middle to the third act. And I'm like, being in that field, I'm like, yeah, you know what? This guy's right. Whatever research he did, he was right on the money.
I
and
have
social
found
media, he was talking
many
about
videos.
kids being poisoned in school and being fed the bullshit from it. All the stuff that we talk about, he hit all of it in that article. It's like, man.
I've found lots of videos from people that echo the truth of what's going on. And I showed them to my wife, and she's like, yeah, 100%. She goes, I'm in it. I know it. I can't control it, though.
No.
She goes, I have to do whatever they tell me I have to do.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Luckily, here in Florida, though, they're kind of controlling that stuff. We don't have those issues.
Well,
as
Disney,
bad as other places do.
Then again, Disney's taking a big fall.
Yeah, but did you see what DeSantis did to Disney?
Yeah.
Now I had no clue, and neither did Barbara.
I didn't either.
And then we see that on the news that DeSantis said, basically, you're a guest here.
Yeah.
And this deal that Walt worked out way back when in the 60s doesn't hold water anymore. If you're going to scream and shout and take a stand on stuff that I say should be law, then maybe you ought to think about getting out of here.
They had a fiefdom. They had their own fiefdom going on there that was like
they made their own rules, their own laws.
Right.
They had their own
system.
Sanitation company, fire
the
company,
water processing plant. Yeah.
The whole deal. They were a complete country within the state of Florida, and nobody could tell them what to do.
Absolutely.
Until DeSantis said, guess what? You may be big, but I'm bigger.
He said there were others, but that was the biggest, and that's the one that he's going after. So I was curious who the other ones might be.
It turns out Walt Disney bought millions of acres way back when of basic land, and some of it's swampland,
A lot of it's swamp.
And he cut deep.
Orlando was swamp before they
and then there's a bunch of places that they don't pay any kind of property taxes whatsoever.
Right.
And DeSantis was like, I'm not going to stand for that. Figure it out. Make it work.
Yeah.
And now Orange County, Orlando, they're a little upset because they're going to be made responsible for stuff like the fire department in that part of town and garbage and everything. So they're they lean a little bit towards the left in Orlando.
Uh-huh.
And their politicians are complaining in the actual Florida Senate of, well, we shouldn't have to be responsible for this because that Republican governor is not happy with Disney's position on his new bill about not being able to talk to kids about their sexual orientation. So why should we have to be the ones to pay the price for they're saying that he's having a tantrum.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, screw you. Those on the Republican side are 100% behind it. It's the Democrat side is continuing on with their way of doing things. It's like, well, you're a Republican. We hate your guts. We hate everything you stand for. You're all a bunch of racists and crazy gun-toting maniacs that go to church every day. That's their thing, and you're going to be fighting that forever. You're never going to get the two parties to come together. It's not
no, but that was interesting because in that article from the Atlantic, the guy talked about that. Then the politics part was in the beginning where he talked about just that, the differences in the sides, and how we've become so fragmented. And we've been talking about this, and I'm sure we've been talking about it to other people too. I know I have. Yeah. It's like these people work for us. Well, they're supposed to work for us, but yet, and Republican, Democrat, I don't care if you're fucking Martian. If you're a politician in this country, your job is to work for the constituents and the people in your area.
Right.
Not to fight with the other side just because they say white, you got to say black. And that's what always pissed me off about politics. It's like they got to disagree just because the guy's on the other side.
That's why nothing ever gets done.
That's why, but you're right. And that's why, but on grassroots levels, like the levels that we work on, I'll help you. He'll help me. We'll go over there. We'll go. Three of us will go help that guy. Boom. Done deal. And you know what? We don't even care if you're working on a Ford.
The White House announced that deal that Trump came up with where they send these border jumpers back to Mexico to wait. That Title 49 or whatever the hell that is. They're shutting it down. They made an announcement today. It's going away.
Oh, yeah.
And then Biden says, well, we have a plan. So the press goes, well, what's the plan? Well, we're not telling you that yet.
Yeah, we don't know.
Excuse me. Really? I'm going to keep it a secret because I don't like you. And everybody understands what's going on here. And now they're saying one of the people that's down there, that's like the head of the Border Patrol. He's like, when this Title 47 or 49 or whatever the hell it is, when it goes away next month, you're going to get 17,000 people coming across the goddamn border every day. What do you want to do with them?
They're
all lined up.
They're up here already because they were saying there was a report where they were busting, and these kids are now already going to school with backpacks. Like, where'd they get all that stuff from? Somebody outfitted them with everything. I don't know where they're living, and now they're integrating them into schools that are already overcrowded.
Right.
But now they're gonna have special programs because these kids don't speak English. They don't speak English. They're all Mexican
English
nationals.
is a second language. My wife teaches English as a second language.
On ESL, even in the college I work in, ESL years ago became its own department and for courses because that's
like,
how many
what
people.
Country do I live in that English is the second language? I don't get it. There's so many things about this country that can be so easily fixed if somebody would fucking do something about it. Okay? This country was brought up on English. We're a country of a bunch of bums that came from everywhere, but the language is English. If you go to any other country, you'll see signs in English. People learn English because English is the universal language. As screwed up as it is with the way words are spelled and the same word means 7 different things, it's a disgusting language if you look at it that way.
Oh, it's terrible,
but in this country, English is not the main language. Every other country, you go to Germany, that German is the language.
Right.
You go to France, French is the language. Everything else is second, okay?
Right.
Here in America, we don't have a language.
Yeah.
Oh, we want to embrace everybody, so we don't make rules like that. Are you really? I don't get it. There's simple things that can be changed, and nobody's willing to do it whatsoever. I'm listening to the news today. The Border Patrol found some kid, I don't know, 2 years old, that was abandoned at the border by the drug dealers.
Heard about that. Yeah.
And the kid had the information of where his father is, the name, and his address. And they're saying, okay, so what's going to happen with the kid? Well, he's going to get, he's going to meet up with his father. He's going to get brought to his father. Well, suppose the father's not here anymore. Well, then the kid's going to wind up going in the system. But I look at it as, okay, I've got a name, I've got an address. I need to find this guy, give him his kid, and then the two of these fucks go right back to Mexico where they came from.
Yeah, right.
Because A, you're in here illegally, and now you send a 2-year-old kid across the border with a freaking dope dealing cartel that just leaves this kid at the edge of the river. So you know what? You're a piece of shit, and I don't care about your kid. And he had his birth certificate. The kid was born on the other side.
Yeah.
So you're not an American citizen? Get the fuck out of my country. Because I'm just tired of paying your way.
There's another story. It was in the Daily News today. It was up in Syracuse. Now, Syracuse, I've been up there for Syracuse Nationals.
Sure.
But when we went up, I always drive around the outskirts to see, and Syracuse is pretty depressed. There's a lot of slums. That whole area up there is pretty bad. But Syracuse police, they nabbed this kid. He happened to be a little black boy. I don't know how old he was. He was, maybe he was 9 years old or whatever. They caught him stealing a bag of potato chips in a store, right? So the cop, it showed him happened to be a white cop, had the kid outside. He was holding him by the arms, did not handcuff the kid, did not restrain him, but put him in the car and was taking him not to jail. He was going to take him to his father, home to his father, to let him know what had happened. This cop is getting they want this cop's badge. They want his career. They want his pension. They're like, how could you detain a little child, a little boy? He's an innocent boy. Well, they caught him stealing a bag of potato chips. Some guy on the street offered to pay for the potato chips, and cops says, listen, it's not about that.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking this kid to jail and taking him to his father, more like an old school thing, right?
Sure.
So he did. The old man flips out. How could you do that to my son? How could you detain him and throw him in a police car? You're going to scar him for life. He's suing the police department. Again, they're looking for this cop's badge, his pension, the whole 9 yards. They're going to ruin his career. Because this kid stole a bag of chips and they caught him. And actually, now all the bleeding hearts was saying how they should, the kid should be, this shouldn't even be an issue. You should just not even look at this. The kid should just be like, just let him go. Like, let him go and steal something from the next store. Like, where's that going to stop? What's a diamond ring? Well, what?
No, it doesn't stop.
But I feel bad for this cop. The poor guy was just doing.
I feel bad for a lot of people. I feel bad for everything that's going on. It's ridiculous that you could let your border be so porous. Now, the governor of Texas cut a deal with Mexico that they're sending their border patrol to the river. And what happens is everybody scatters. But they don't keep their border patrol on the Mexico side 24/7 like we do.
Right.
So they said as soon as they left, a couple of hundred came right across the river.
Yeah.
So they're playing this cat and mouse game, Now, granted, I understand Mexico's got a real tough thing because the cartels run the country. So what are you going to do? Unless you hire an army like the American army and you literally invade the country and you literally take out every member of these cartels and you say, here's your job, kill the cartel. That's the only way you're going to stop that, and then Mexico can kind of get back to normal. But the government in Mexico is completely on the take, and you've got these dope dealers that run everything. So you're never going to get them right. They're never going to play fair over there. It's always going to be
Right.
a disaster. So how do you stop this? Well, you got to play hardball on your side of the river. You know, why don't we have the army sitting there? They could have guns loaded with blanks. You start coming across that river, boom, 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 boom. I'm shooting at you. You don't know if I'm shooting a bullet or not, but I'm going to shoot at you. Give them permission. Scare them. Don't come here. We don't want you to come here. You want to come here? Fill out the goddamn paperwork like everybody else. You know?
You know, to divert, speaking of that, I watched the video. It was a handgun video. The guy was doing some shooting, and he's out in the desert, wherever the hell he is in Arizona, and he said he had gotten this load, and he called it like snake shot.
Yeah.
It was in a handgun cartridge, but it was filled with like shotgun, like little beads.
Oh,
and,
okay.
and he shot it at a target. It was like, you know, it dispersed. So the idea was like when you're out in the woods and there's a snake, now you can shoot the snake, not with a bullet, but with this. It was like a little
with a
shotgun
spread.
load for a pistol. I was like, I never knew that existed. That's so
pretty
cool. I mean,
That's
so
really
it's good
cool.
could be good for home defense too, I guess.
But you know, to have a porous border like we do,
Oh,
and,
it's ridiculous.
and not do anything about it, and you got to say to yourself that this asshole in the White House probably doesn't know a hell of a lot of what's going on in his own country. I think they keep him in the dark.
You know,
He
Fox
constantly says there's nothing going on down there. How can you flat out lie like that to your people?
you know why?
There's nothing going on. There's no problem at the border. What are you talking about? There's no
John,
problem. Does
Fox-
anybody show this fucking asshole a
No.
news video?
No,
He never sits down and watches this shit.
No.
Does this guy ever sit in front of a television and watch the news?
no, probably romper room. Fox did a mashup. I was watching it last night of all the of the Easter egg hunt where he was walking around like not know where he's going, and that thing with Obama where he's got his hand on Obama's shoulder. Obama's just totally blowing him off, like not even paying him the time. And he's walking around looking of like, huh? Like where am I?
There was
Like,
that one video.
help.
I wound up posting it on my Facebook page. I found it from somewhere where
Yeah.
he turns around and he like kind of mouths to somebody in the crowd, and then he turns and he walks towards Obama, and the camera pans over, and Obama's got like 8 people around him, including Nancy Pelosi, and they're like fawning over him like he's the next fucking god.
Right.
And Biden is like, and then he walks away. Like,
Yeah.
nobody wanted to be near the president of
No.
the fucking United States,
No.
which tells you they know that he's a chunk of shit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm living in a country that's run by somebody like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And then
someone's
this
pulling the
fucking
string.
idiot can't even give a 5-minute speech without screwing up.
No.
Did you see the thing where when they made the announcement for the woman that joined the Supreme Court,
Uh-huh.
and he was standing at the podium out in the Rose Garden, and he said something about America is like, and then he lost himself, and then all of a sudden he mentioned Xi Jinping,
Uh-huh.
and in the Himalayan mountains, and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
And you could see the vice president back there going, oh fuck, he's screwing up. And then they cut. They moved to something else. They shut him down. And I'm like,
Sure.
this dude has serious dementia.
Yeah.
And nobody in Washington's doing a thing about it.
Yeah.
If this was Trump,
Well,
they would have had him out. They would have pulled, what's that little unwritten law?
they were
where
trying
could
to do that
get
to
you
him.
out. Yeah, they were trying to do it.
Section 8 or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
It was
He would have been gone if he made a speech like that. They would have got rid of him immediately. I don't get it. I just don't. What is the end game here? Why are you fucking me? What are you going to get when you completely destroy me? What are you going to fucking get? Because when you destroy all of us, you got nobody to cook for you. You got nobody to fill the stuff in the supermarket. You got nobody to pick up the trash. You got nobody to work the nuclear power plants. You got nobody to do anything. So what are all you rich fucking billionaires going to do? Because you got nobody. You killed the working class. You're going to get us to the point where we're either going to come after you and take you out, or we're just going to go, you know what? I give up. Fuck you. We're gone. and that's the end of it. And you'll have a whole fucking country, and there'll be 15 or 20 of you assholes, and you're gonna have to learn to do everything yourself. Learn how to cook, learn how to bake, learn how to drive, whatever. I don't see the end game here.
The midterms are going to tell a big story.
They're gonna go down so hard. I'm just
The midterms are going to be interesting.
I'll get banned off of Facebook after that one. 'Cause that'll be the end of the end. You know, I'll just be motherfuckering every single one of those idiots. Thank God you're gone. Go fuck yourself. It's amazing. I don't know.
So, Justin, how's the weather in Michigan?
Still cold?
Depends on the minute.
Yeah, right. It's been kind of changeable here too.
Oh.
It's been,
Man, we got a couple cars. I'm just trying to get test miles on to get them out. And it's like, okay, well, at 8 o'clock it's 70, and then it's 10 o'clock it's going to be snowing, and then 11 o'clock it's sunny again.
I see you got that white pickup truck. What's that all about?
Yeah, so that was a cool one. We built that truck about 5 years ago. The lady that owns it, her dad customized it back in the day, and it come to us as a basket case. We saved the cab and his chop on the top, and had to redo everything else. Pancake the hood, smooth everything out, new chassis, engine, pretty much everything.
Wow.
What kind of chassis did you put under it?
I think that one's an Art Morrison. This was built before I was with the shop. But has
Morrison
an LS3
makes nice stuff.
Yeah.
Morrison, he builds chassis for anything because he does that CAD deal. You know?
Yeah.
And don't ask me how, but he's got those mandrel benders, and he'll bend you a 2x4 frame and put the outriggers on it, and your body just goes whoosh right on it. Another guy that's just really, really knows what's going on in that little niche.
Like I said, I believe it's one of his chassis, but it's a really cool truck. Like I said, we're just upgrading the brakes.
That's cool.
Willwood's all around.
I love Willwood.
But, like I said, it's a cool truck. Like I say, her dad bought the truck new and started customizing it right away.
Well, new. What year is that truck? It's a 50-something, right?
53, I think. I think it's 53.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if I can pull up some pictures of this thing beforehand.
Post them up.
It was a rough truck.
Yeah.
Those are the best, though.
Oh yeah.
Because you could basically throw away everything. You know.
We get those a lot. Luckily, we get some that are pretty nice too.
You get a lot of stuff where you got a lot of rust repair up there.
Yeah.
Heavy salt on the roads.
Yeah.
Bad weather.
We're doing a Scout right now. Local guy, good friend of the shop, and that's another one. It was just going to be a simple fix a couple spots and paint it, and we're.
Oh, you actually would do that for somebody?
Yeah.
A lot of shops won't even bother.
Yeah, so
unless they're doing like a customizing thing.
Yeah, no, so we're pretty much everything. We'll do small stuff. We've had people bring us, just paint jobs or just fab work or whatever.
What's your wait list now?
For any decent sized job, we're out end of the year.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, it's quite a wait.
It's nice, very nice.
Yeah,
it's good. Good for you guys that you got that wait list.
It's better than the other way.
Oh, tell me about it. The other way can get you into trouble because you're willing to take on stuff that you shouldn't take on just to bring money into the business.
Yeah,
and that always turns out to be a mess.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, we can be selective. If there's something we don't need to do, we won't do it.
Exactly. That's always the best way. Doesn't always happen, but it's always the best way.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate.
One notch down, steady work. Maybe it's a 3-month wait to get in or something. And stuff comes in and stuff goes out, and it's just moving stuff in and out, in and out.
Yeah,
that's good because it's just constant work, which is cool.
Yeah, and we're kind of at a stage too. Like I said, with the weather getting better, we can get some miles on some of these builds, and we're shipping a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, the good weather's coming, so at least you can get out there and do some burnouts and donuts and drive them. Break them in before you hand the keys over to the customer.
We've been doing that. Yeah, that guy with the Camaro, he took his last week, and sure enough, right on Main Street. Let her eat.
It's always the best.
Nice.
So you get somebody that really can't handle their stuff, and then all of a sudden the car makes a 90-degree turn and drives underneath a 22-foot box truck.
You know,
Right.
a friend just sent me a video today, and it looked like it was Florida. You really couldn't tell. And there was a kid with an Acura at the light. Car was built, no hood, had turbo on it and all. And a guy pulls up to his left in a Viper. And the light changes, they take off, and the Acura got the Viper out of the hole.
Wow.
And someone's with the cell phone, and you see it go down the road, and the Viper just makes a hard right. And then you just see like a cloud. So the guy runs down the street.
Man.
The front of the Viper's ripped off. The guy gets out of the car real slow. He was like salt and pepper hair, so he was a little older. That's probably why the Acura got him off the line. I'm like, where'd the Acura go? Man, that thing must have just drove right past him. But what makes a car turn hard right unless something breaks? It's
Yeah. Well, it depends. It depends if he loses traction.
Yeah.
I've had it happen with the Trans Am.
Yeah.
There's I could send you photos. I have them. It was the end of the season. It was one of those kind of cold, gray November days when I had to shop in Bayshore, North Bayshore, and the slicks that were on the car were never going to see the track next year.
Yeah.
So we put a little water down. I hit the line lock, and I got them turning. And I literally, first gear, second gear, third gear, and I brought the car up to 6,700 RPM in high gear with the line lock on.
Wow.
So I was at top speed. I was spinning the tires somewhere in that 155, 160 mile an hour range. I let go of the line lock, and the road kind of goes downhill. And it took a while before the car started catching up with itself. And then you'll see, I'll send you the photo. I don't have it on this laptop. All of a sudden, the burnout tracks make a hard right and then a hard left.
Oh, wow.
Because I had to steer it and get off.
Yeah.
And I was literally heading almost 90 degrees to the curb. I was ready to jump the curb and hit an oak tree.
Right.
I saved it and got out of it. But it was the dumbest thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Because that's probably the worst thing you could ever do is let go of the line lock with the back tire spinning somewhere in that 150 mile an hour range, because you're not going to catch up. It's going to take a while.
Right.
But you could lay out a 300, 400, 500 foot burnout before you start to catch up.
Yeah.
But trying to keep a car square
when
you're running a spool, any kind of crown in the road drives the car.
Right.
So boom. I literally could have destroyed the car, flipped it, hit the tree, whatever, because I was just being a jerk. But it's a series of some really, really cool photos.
Yeah. Cool.
There's a picture, with the car sitting there, and the car wasn't even really square with the street. You can see in the first picture, the car is kind of aiming sort of towards the curb a little bit.
Well,
and there's a huge cloud of smoke behind it, and then there's the photo of the burnout going down the street, and you could see that thing make that S turn at the bottom end. It was pretty cool.
The car was looking to the future of what your backup camera would be like in 2022 on your pickup truck. It was just a little off square.
A little off, yeah. It wasn't really square.
So, Brian, speaking about being a little off, it's all about segues. All of a sudden, freaking Matco, when I get get like a text, or I get, it's like a text or a push message from Matco, and, I can look at whatever it is, and then, it wants me to sign in, and I'll sign in. I'm using it doesn't recognize me with the credentials that I made. It just says, no, they don't match. Like, wait a minute. This is what I created last time. Yeah. So I think the other option was to create a login. So let me try and create this again. But then it says, no, this name is already in the system. Okay. So I log in with my email address and my password. And then it says, no, the credentials are not valid. So what the fuck is going on with Matco?
I have no idea, but
I didn't
Not
think you
cool.
would.
I just noticed, because you downloaded the app, right? And you put my phone number in,
Yes.
and I still haven't gotten your information yet
Okay. Interesting.
because we
That's
haven't. We're not linked yet.
Yeah, interesting. Well, you said you hadn't done something yet at that time.
No, well, at the time I'm now live.
All right. Let me see. I just opened the app again. Let me see if it'll let me sign in. Create account, sign in. I'll sign in because phone number or email. I had to use my email address. That one. Okay. Password. All right. Whoop. Sign in. Error. The credentials or password are invalid.
Yeah, because I couldn't sign in. I couldn't sign in the other day either.
This has been going on for like a couple weeks.
Yeah, I don't.
And then if I register, I tried to register. Let's see what happens then. It comes up with my email address and it fills in my email address and password when I go to register.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it knows who I am. But then when I say, okay.
Well, did you save your stuff on Google so it autofills?
It probably did because it auto-filled. Now it says the credentials are not valid. So
that's not a website issue.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, like I said, because I've had 2 or 3 guys ask me, and of course, when I call in and ask, I either get we're working on it or there's not an issue. So
yeah, well, there is.
One day it will all be better.
Right.
Man, I thought I had that burnout shot on my phone, but I don't. I need to pull all my stuff together. How do you do that?
It could be a lot of work.
It
could be a lot of work, depending where you have it.
Oh, hey, I got my internet fixed.
What was the matter with it?
Remember how I was telling you how I kept getting those messages? I'm offline and then I'm online. And then you guys had mentioned every now and then my video freezes for a second or two.
Right.
So I called Frontier. And believe it or not, they actually gave me an appointment literally like 3 days after I called.
Nice.
I was like, wow. So the guy came today. And he showed up right on time. Very cool dude. He's like, what's up? I said, for over a year now, maybe a little longer, I get a little message comes across the bottom of my screen, says you are offline. I said, and then a few seconds later, it comes back, says you're online again, back online. He goes, oh. I said, I've reset this, server, whatever they call it thing, a bunch of times. I said I was on the phone with tech. They made me hit some little button in the back that I've never even knew was there.
Yeah, a reset
like
button.
A hard factory reset.
It's probably on the router.
Yeah, it's a router. That's what it is. And it didn't change anything. It's still the same deal. I said, and when I do a speed test, I'm not getting the speed I'm paying for. And he was like, okay, well, that router is old school. He goes, I don't even know why you have that. I said, well, they just sent me a new one. He goes, well, let's open the box. And it's the same thing. He goes, this isn't new.
Yeah.
He goes, this is refurbished.
Yeah.
He goes, this is what they send you, a refurbished one to replace your old piece of crap. He goes, I bet it's the box that Fios put in outside your house.
Really?
It's like, really? I goes, doesn't that just convert the fiber optic signal to the digital for the coax? He goes, yeah. He goes, but it's outside. I was like, okay. He goes, how long have you had Fios? I'm like, since they put it in down here 10 years ago. Oh, yeah. So he's just like, let's go look at the box. He opens up the cover. He goes, ha, ha, ha. First gen. He goes, dude, this thing won't even take a software update anymore.
Wow.
He goes, they shoot updates through the fiber optic
Yeah.
and update this thing at like 4 o'clock in the morning when you're sleeping. He says this thing won't even take an update. He goes, I'm surprised that Frontier didn't say anything about that.
Wow.
Because he says they have a list. When you pull up your account, they know what you got.
Yeah.
He goes, don't worry about it. When people call and they want the fiber optic, he said, we have the brand new box. He goes, I got like 10 of them in the truck.
Huh.
So he took the box off the wall
Uh-huh.
and he put the new one on. And then there's a plug, kind of looks like the plug that's in the back of the GM gauge pods. It's like a rectangular plug
Right.
with 2 tangs on it.
Yeah.
And it's got like 10 wires in it.
Yeah.
And he goes, look at this. This wire's ready to fall out.
Wow.
He goes, so this plug is no good. He says, and you know how we get those little lizards that roam around? He says, with the way this thing is, he says, if one of those lizards comes scooting by, he said it could be wiggling that wire and losing your connection there.
Yeah.
He goes, so I'm going to cut the cable. He says, and I'm going to redo that. So he put the new, I guess, what is it, like digital to optical to digital converter, whatever they call that thing, outside. He checked the power supply in here to make sure that it was right. And then he took my router and he literally said, where's your garbage pail?
Drop kick that thing out the door.
Drop kicked it in the garbage. He says, take that one they just sent you yesterday. He says, throw that one out too. I was like, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, in the instructions, it tells you we don't want it back.
Right.
He goes, so you just take that and throw it away. He goes, I'm going to give you the router that they give when somebody calls up this week and says, I want FiOS. They're getting a brand. So it's a completely different router. It's a 5G. It's a monster. It's got completely different design and lights on it. It's more powerful on the Wi-Fi end of it, the whole deal. So I was like, awesome. So he hooks that up. But I had to go around and I had to change passwords on the phones, passwords on the laptop.
Sure.
You know, the whole deal. But everything got all hooked up super nice. We ran the speed test. I'm getting faster than what I'm paying for.
Nice.
Through that box and through the new router. And then he's like, any other problems? I'm like, well, I get a really half-ass Wi-Fi signal when I'm outside by my tiki bar. He goes, you got a tiki bar? He goes, show me. So we go out there and he goes, don't worry about it. I got you covered. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I got a repeater in the truck. It's a repeater, and also it has it's a router. He said, so what it's going to do is it's going to repeat the signal and amplify it. He goes, and you'll get full Wi-Fi now all the way out deep into your backyard, at your bar, all through the house. And he put it in the bedroom, in the back bedroom, and he hooked it up there. And I got on the Wi-Fi all of those arcs to the top, anywhere in the house. And I'm like, yeah.
A new mesh. We got something weird going on here. Get a load. Dig this. My younger daughter, uses a MacBook. She was using. We got it for when she went to FIT to do design work. So, and she keeps up with it. But now she got this new job, and they are sending her a laptop. They were supposed to send it today, but she was complaining to me yesterday that, like, her bedroom and the other bedroom, which is her studio, are on one side of the house. And she goes, in her bedroom now, she can't get Wi-Fi on her laptop. If she goes into the other room, the other bedroom, it gets better, but it's kind of slow. And if she comes out like into the kitchen, it's all guns blazing. And I said, it's weird. That's weird. I said, if you got it, you got it. If you don't notice, I'm thinking maybe it's like an Ethernet card in the laptop or something.
Could be.
So she was looking into this, looking into that. Then she hits me tonight with this. She's in the kitchen using the machine. And she says, people upstairs. I said, well, I know he's got a network up there, but the networks don't cross-pollinate. They don't talk to each other.
Not if you're not logged into it.
She starts looking up and says that, like, fish tanks can interfere with the wireless signal. I'm like, the fish tank?
Well, because the signal won't go through the water.
But I know he's got a fish tank upstairs, so I'm saying, but what in the fish tank is going to screw with your wireless signal? But literally, it's only in the room, which is right below where they have this fish tank, and then the room
I don't
next to it.
get
So
that. That's weird.
I said it was weird. So we're going to call them and talk to them, see like if they added something new or what's going on, because the phones work, that all works, but it's just her
Yeah.
computer. So strange. We got to get to the bottom of this one.
Because I know on my my GoPro, you know how those put out their own little Wi-Fi signal,
Yeah.
and you control it by the phone to do like recording and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that works, no problem. No matter where I have the camera, if I'm within, I don't know how close of a range, but if I'm nearby,
yeah,
I can do whatever I need to do when I'm using it. But every now and then, I have an adapter with that waterproof case, and I made it so that it attaches to basically an algae cleaning stick. So I can put it in the tank, and then I can move the handle in my hand and rotate the camera, pan the camera left to right, so I could shoot underwater.
Right.
Unless I get the phone right up against the tank, the Wi-Fi signal won't. You can't receive the Wi-Fi signal from the camera. The water and then the glass completely obliterates the Wi-Fi.
Right.
Now, granted, I'm sure the Wi-Fi signal coming out of the GoPro is as weak as it could possibly be. It's a tiny little camera.
Right.
It can't possibly be putting out a lot, especially since they don't have a very large amp hour battery in them.
Right.
It may be stronger if you do the deal where you plug it in. Like I have a mount up here. If I want to, like when we filmed my first YouTube video, I have a mount that I left there, a GoPro mount, and I can literally plug it into the wall.
Yeah.
So I'm on AC power. I don't have to worry about a battery going down.
Right.
If I wanted to do, I don't know, if I got like one of these other guys where they just put a camera up and they go live and you're just watching them for hours.
Yeah.
I could do that,
Yeah.
But when you're trying to film inside a fish tank, you're limited by how long the battery can keep things going.
Sure.
And that Wi-Fi signal is definitely weaker.
Yeah.
So it's kind of odd, but why would it affect yours is beyond me.
I don't know, but it's very localized in the house.
Could it be pipes in the wall? Wi-Fi is going to bounce off of copper and cast iron piping. And stuff.
But the thing is, she's been using this laptop since 2015 without a problem. It's just all of a sudden now. That's why I thought maybe if there's maybe the Ethernet card in the machine. So I was trying to see and I don't use an Apple, so I don't know how to work around this stupid thing.
Maybe it's time for to update the card. It's
an Ethernet card.
Yeah, but it may need a software update or what do you call it?
Well, I had her checking for updates and to do troubleshooting, and she's up to date on the updates.
Yeah.
Unless.
Wow. Tori's sending me all these awesome pictures of the LS he's putting in his car.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
I think Saturday, Sam had a thing on an Instagram. I think on Saturday they're going to have Tori's car. That may be this week. They're going to be starting to air the '57 Chevy.
Yeah. He's sending me some awesome stuff. Oh God, the heads look like. Actually, the heads remind me of the old 202 double bump.
Yeah,
heads.
double hump heads. Yeah.
Yeah. They're beautiful aluminum heads with beautiful looking chambers in them.
Yeah.
Nice stuff.
202s or 194s.
Yeah. Pictures of it with the motor in the car. He's got one of them big heavy duty alternators. It's got a lot of venting holes in the case.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm dealing with this Lincoln, and I'm watching videos on it, and they were saying how you could get the extra heavy duty 60 amp or 60 or an 80 amp alternator, probably 60 amp. I'm like, wow, really? I'm like, a Corolla comes with a 140 amp alternator now.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, this car is awesome.
I hope he uses them. I hope he gets a chance to use those cars.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's got this top on there from Kong Performance. It's I think it's an it's an intercooler.
Fun
It's-
stuff.
It's an intercooler
Yeah.
that sits on top of the motor.
Yeah.
It's a water cooler. It's got four nipples on it. It may be 2 units left and right. And then he's got the serpentine drive, and it's like multiple belts. I think it's like a 2-belt serpentine system.
Yeah.
It's got some crazy stuff. I don't know if this stuff is allowed to be out in the public yet. So I won't show it.
Yeah.
Secrets.
Could be. This may be stuff
That's-
that's not going to be seen until the show comes on.
And that's the.
So I'm not
was it
jumping the gun
uh,
on the guy. You know what I'm saying?
He's
He's
got
We
the
just
big giant. He's got a big giant aluminum radiator. in the
yeah,
car.
yeah. That radiator looks like it came from the guys that I deal with.
Cold case.
Cold case, yeah.
I think it is.
I love those guys. They're going to do the radiators in these cars. I hope they work with me like they worked with me with Rocco's car.
That'd be nice.
It'd be awesome, man, because they're not cheap.
seems like good radiators aren't.
No.
Yeah, cold case. That's what it is. Yeah, he's got the same thing with the aluminum overflow. I
Uh-huh.
love that thing.
Uh-huh.
So nice. You know, I want to hook up. I had it in the other car. Back then I used the plastic overflow bottle, and I put it in the trunk,
Uh-huh.
and I ran the 3/8 rubber line
Yeah.
from the radiator all through the frame all the way to the back of the car. And if the car got hot, it would push the water out into that overflow, and then when it cooled down, it would suck it back.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to do that, but I was reading some stuff about it's got to be at the right height, and
Plus,
mine
you gotta,
was not higher than the radiator, but it was because it was loaded. There was no air in the system, so when it wanted it, it was basically sucking on a 16-foot long straw.
and you got to make sure it doesn't
full of
collapse the
water.
hose. The vacuum doesn't
Yeah,
collapse
yeah.
the hose.
But that worked out really, really well for me then, you know.
Right.
So I don't know. And then on, like all the drag cars, we used to use either an aluminum one or that plastic one that Jazz makes.
Yeah.
And what we would do is those things had just a little valve with a little red thing on the handle to open them and close them.
Uh-huh.
We used to pop it out of that grommet and then drill a hole in the trunk floor behind the tires all the way back by the bumper, and then put that valve there, and then put the hose back on it and put a nipple into the rubber grommet that was on the container.
Uh-huh.
So when the drag race car would overheat, it would shove that water from the radiator, which was those little Scirocco radiators that we used, all the way to the back of the car. And if it filled up that Jazz container, then it would spill out because it had the dump line. It would spill out on the track behind the car.
Yeah.
You know? Or when you got to the pits, you would just put a container, kind of like a big gulp cup,
Yeah.
under that, crack that valve, and then whatever water was in the overflow would wind up going in there. Then we just go to the front of the car, open the radiator cap, and pour it back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just kept recycling that water forever for the whole season, you know. But it was good because you never know when something happens. You know, especially on a nitrous car, you take out a head gasket, you just pressurize the whole cooling system,
Right. Right.
and you could wind up crashing real easy if your overflow is anywhere near the front of the car.
Yeah.
So you got to run that stuff all the way out to the back, and if the thing takes out a gasket and pressurizes the system, it just blows that water out from behind the car, and it's visible. If it's doing that, you're going to see that from the starting line.
Yeah.
That cloud of vapor coming out of the car. So, then the guys at the track know, well, you need to send the truck out there and
Right.
dry the track off or whatever.
So
Yeah.
seeing Brian's Hurst shifter sticker reminds me, I had Johnny drag out that tranny with the super shifter on it and the straight rods.
Yes. Now, what's the weird part? Are you positive that's a Muncie?
I'm not.
Because I was looking up photos,
Yeah.
and all of the photos that I saw, the side cover on the Muncie was flat on the bottom. Yours is arced.
I think it's a T10.
Which, right, that's what I was going to say. It's a
So it
T10.
sounds like a T10.
Because I know I have my T10 here and it's got a rounded bottom on it.
Right.
And he said he had
the Muncies are angled and then
Right.
flat on the bottom.
I don't remember. I didn't look at it that close because that
I
was
remember
like
I asked you if it was a 20, a 21, or a
right,
22.
right. I wasn't sure. And then I remember he was talking to me about T10s because he was saying he had a T10 that had a cast iron center section and then an aluminum tail.
Wow.
And I said, wow, my T10 is all aluminum. So
Yeah.
I think that one was all aluminum, but they got stuff. I mean, that was under a pile of empty beer cans. And, when I was
That's
there last.
restorable, though. I looked at that. I
was-
zoomed into the photo, and I'm like, oh, my God. He can clean that reverse lockout lever
Uh-huh.
and maybe blast the unit, with a glass beater
Right.
in a glass bead cabinet. You
Yep.
can clean that thing up and then recoat it and just put a stick on it, and boom, you got yourself a Super Shifter 3.
Well, I am thinking, especially if this Lincoln deal comes through and I'll be up there, I'm thinking about working the deal to make that mine.
Yeah,
Just
There
because.
you go.
Just because.
It's so good to have.
I forget who he said made those straight rods, where they came from.
Well, I know Hearst used to sell them.
They could have been Hearst, but
Yeah, because that's when you buy the Super Shifter, it was a straight rod shifter.
yeah.
You couldn't get a Super Shifter to mount in a stock location with a bent rod.
That's
Right.
when I hacked my whole floor up. In mine.
Right. Super
Yeah.
Shifters were built for road racing
Yeah.
because they had that really short 4 3/4 inch throw from first
Right.
to second, and then second to third to fourth. And there was various sticks that you could use, but
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah.
majority of them were that 7-inch straight
little-
stick.
The Super Shifter. I have one of those hanging in the garage.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
white ball on top.
Right.
And they were side mounted. They
Right.
were off the transmission in a straight line. And you had a hack.
Did they
up
have
the score.
actually that box is sitting right over there, but they had the reinforced, right? They were
Right. It was
they
a
had,
rod and a sleeve over the rod.
Right. That's Yep. I have a set of those
Yeah,
rods.
they
I
were
mean,
big
I had that
and
in
thick
the
and
month.
heavy. They took
Yeah.
all the flex out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, they had
I
And
know
then
what's going to
You
happen.
can make those even better. What
See,
we
it's funny
used-
that we're
what we
talking.
used to
Here's
do
a
is
side plate, Hannah.
yeah.
There you
Adapter
go.
in there.
We used to get rid of the rods that they gave you and make out of tubing, threaded tubing, and put Heim joints
Right.
and just modify all of that. So you were using the Super
Yeah.
Shifter, and you had straight rods that had left hand, right hand Heim
Yeah.
joints on them, and then you could adjust the slack that way. And never have to take them off the transmission to do it, because normally you would have to pull it off the tranny and spin the rod in
Right.
or out to get that thing centered where it had to be.
Yeah.
We just did the loosen the jam nuts and turn
I
it
had-
one way or the other.
When I had the Super Shifter in the Mustang, and I grenaded the factory seats, I broke them, and I can't remember how I came across, but I had 65 Thunderbird bucket seats, and we took it had a power motor thing on it, and we took that off, and we took the seat tracks off of them because they sat higher, because in the Mustang they had that raised floor where the seat sat on.
Yeah.
And so I had to take those off. And then when I got this, the seats were great. They felt great. But the problem with the Super Shifter, because it was so far over, and the Thunderbird seats were so much wider. The shifter was right up against the seat, the padding of the seat and everything.
Yeah, the bolster where your thigh goes.
Yeah, and then I put the Vertigate in, and
I had a Vertigate, a Mr. Gasket one.
Vertigate. I had a Vertigate, and that was okay, but it was a bitch to drive in traffic because
you had to ring, you had to stick.
You had to ring, and you had to pull it. Yeah, you had to pull it up and down.
It's all in there.
If you were trying to downshift, it was a pain in the ass.
Took a lot. I blew up my Pontiac motor with the vertical gate.
Yeah.
So I know it's going to happen when I see
take
these
my
guys.
fingers out of the ring. I went from first to second to first.
Oh Jesus!
That'll do it.
When I ask them, you want to sell that box with the shifter on it, I'll take it from you. I know he's going to say, yeah, how much you want to give me for it?
Hell,
and
I'll give you $150.
Yeah, I was going to say like $200.
Yeah.
It's only been sitting there for 30 years.
I'll have to find the guy. There's a guy that has a whole boatload of YouTube videos. I believe he's in Queens or Brooklyn. He rebuilds manual transmissions.
Yeah.
And he's got a whole series of videos.
Wow.
And that's what he does. He bulletproofs, especially Muncie's and T10s. He bulletproofs them.
Wow.
That's the dude. And he's got a boatload of videos. I'll have to go back and look at my subscriptions, and I will find him and get you to him.
Yeah.
And he's a New York guy. And he's got a whole series on gear lube.
Wow.
Gear lube for manual transmissions and ring and pinion. And there's these different companies that make these different lubes and what's good, what's no good.
I know.
What beats up the synchronizers, what turns to shit when it gets hot.
I'll tell you.
Deal.
I learned like with my Fiat, there's the GL4, GL5.
That's one of the ones he talks about. And
it's a good thing I read the owner's manual on that car because I put a tranny in it and they said, I think I had to have GL3 or 4. I needed there's foaming and non-foaming fluids. And I needed the foaming one, I believe, because that's how it lubricates the top. They said, if you don't put that in there, you'll burn the gears up in a matter of, miles, depending on how many miles it'll be. Could be a couple of years, depending on how much you drive. I'm like, wow, I never knew. I thought gear oil was gear oil, It's like,
that Bosch book I sent you?
Yeah.
There's a good write-up, and I mean that book you could spend for hours reading that book.
I think I have that back here.
But that Bosch book, man, when you want to find the difference between this fluid or that fluid or this light and that book, man, there's a lot of information and a lot of technical stuff about that.
What would it be under fluids?
If fluids or lubrication or something like that.
Tribology. Tribology is the science of lubrication.
Tribology?
Yep.
That's a weird word.
Use that on the wife when you want to get sexy.
Tribology is defined as the study of the phenomena and mechanisms of friction, lubrication, and wear of surfaces in relative motion.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she'll love that.
Talk to
John Day.
Yeah.
I actually dropped that on him. He goes, wow, you know about tribology? I'm like, well, yeah, I know the word.
Have a conversation with Mr. Lucas. He can tell you all about that.
I impressed him with my, I said, yeah, I do crossword puzzles. That's all.
I do crossword puzzles.
Well, that's never come up in a crossword puzzle.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, Brian, you could read this book like forever and have nothing else to read and just read this. Yeah.
It's like the Bible.
It is. We got here, fluid friction coupling, fluids brake, fluids glycol ether, fluids hydraulic, mineral oil.
Oh, Tori says the guy's name is Larry, D&L Transmissions.
Okay.
Good for you, Tori. Tori's listening. He knows what's going on. He knows everybody. This fucking guy knows everyone.
I keep telling him to come on with us.
Yeah, he really should.
Hey, you know what?
Damn, he knew. He knew Larry.
315, And look where my finger is happens to be.
Can't read it.
Can't read it.
It's not going to focus. It's
not
page
focusing.
315. That's where the tribology is.
Yeah.
They talk about dry and boundary friction, combination friction, types of motion. Yeah, okay. Cool.
There's a
Yeah,
lot of stuff
Look
in
that
there,
guy
dude.
up.
Yeah.
That's the guy to take your transmission to when you get it.
Yeah.
He sells transmissions too. He has all kinds of cores that he rebuilds.
I wonder if he's the guy. There was a guy that was here in Merrick who rebuilt them, and then he was always at the swap meets.
Maybe.
I wonder if that's him and he relocated because he's not here anymore. He's not in the house he used to be in. He used to be right by my friend Kevin's house. Not there
Tori
anymore.
probably knows him personally. Had lunch with him.
Yeah, he's not there anymore.
Tori's. Let me tell you something.
Oh, I know.
Tori's the walking phone book of performance,
I know that.
and he knows everybody. That's awesome. He makes it his job. He's good at it.
Yeah. Like I said, I hope he does get to put some good use to those cars.
Yeah. He deserves it.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to my buddy Dougie at the UD about that. He's got a 67 Chevelle that he's had 2 years longer than I've had my Pontiac, and I've had that since 75. And he's got 30 cars and doesn't really drive any of them. And he's got a lot of really nice stuff. So he was telling me he wants to bring a Chevelle back in because it's just hasn't been used in a while and go through it and do a freshen up. But there's always something else in the way. And I said, Doug, get this piece of shit Corvette off the lift over here. Bring your Chevelle in and then just look at it for 3 days. I said, the fourth day, you're gonna walk over to it. You're gonna do something. You pick up a wrench and you'll do something. I said, and then you do a little more. And before you know it, once you're in the groove, you'll get it all done. And it's a 67 Chevelle with a 421 Pontiac tri-power engine in it, of all things. So I said, and then you take it out and you drive it. And I said, take it from me, the guy who did it already. When you do that, you'll never feel happier in your life because you're looking out at the same hood you looked at in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to say, you're going to pull that shifter. And it's like, yeah, life is good. I said, you deserve it. You deserve it. And if you don't do it, you're cheating yourself.
Oh, okay.
So,
He's in Suffolk County.
Okay.
I thought he was in Brooklyn.
Okay.
631.
Tori just sent me the link.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Tori. Tori, when are you going to come on with us? Damn it.
Next week, you should come on.
I keep telling him to come on.
Especially if his stuff is going to be on TV. That's when he needs to come on.
Right.
That week.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Bring
photos that we can see, snapshots, stills from the TV show.
From what I saw on Sam's site, I think it looked like it alluded to it would be this Saturday. Now, I'll be working on Saturday morning, so I won't be able to see it live. But
I got the boat is going to the shop Saturday, and then I believe Sunday it's going to its new.
You guys got the car show, right?
New marina home. What car show?
Ray?
There's a car show. There is a show on Sunday. It's in Williston Park. That's the one Doug was telling me about. Oh, well, my radio show will be on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, aren't you guys going to go with the? Aren't you guys going to be? You going to go to the car show? Are you going to have live broadcast?
No, we're not doing a remote because Chris is up in Connecticut. So for him to come down is a little tough. Yeah, we're not doing a live broadcast. Plus, I got that show. The Tobey Beach show is on Saturday, and I have to work on Saturday. So, no, I won't be there.
Oh,
no. Probably going to the UD in the afternoon to look at this Lincoln again with my buddy Chris. But that's a whole nother. That's a shop of a different direction. We'll go into Queens, deep into Queens at the hidden location.
Yeah.
Those guys know how to keep their stuff locked tight, man. right in the
That's
middle of a community with thousands of people, and they never know that those cars are sitting.
Because they got that steel garage door that comes down.
You got to go through 3 doors.
There's a little bit of a driveway by the sidewalk. You got that corrugated looking steel door,
You-
brickwork on either side.
that's
It's
right.
Undisclosed. You don't know what's going on behind that door.
That's
and
right.
It's a sign, no parking here.
That's right. You go through that
Exactly.
door, then you're in a little like a lobby, and then you got to make a right and go through the second door. Then you got to go up 2 levels and go through the third door to get into where these cars are.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Super secret.
It really is.
I love that.
probably
Though.
close to
That's so New York.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, just not. You drive down the block and there's
You never
apartment
know.
buildings. You know, and then there's this just nondescript metal door and a big sign, no parking here.
And the funny thing is, the wall of the
unreal.
building, like where Doug has he's set up at that end wall, and there's a whole bunch of windows. They look right out on the street where you would go through, but you're looking up, you can't see anything because you're looking up 2 stories.
Yeah.
But looking down, you can see everything. You
That's
know,
awesome.
it's pretty cool. It is really cool.
That's
So,
the
yeah.
best.
And I've met guys who've said something like that. They've used the term and talked about, this hidden garage. And like, what hidden garage? I heard about it. It's in Queens. I'm like, really? Like, when did you hear about it? Yeah, it's all locked up. You got to have these key codes and car tags, and you got to have like a blood oath, like, the stories. I'm like, sounds like the UD, man. I said, yeah, I was just there last week. You were there? I'm like, yeah, I was there. I got friends over there. Like,
That's it. I know
where is
people.
it? I'm like, I can't tell you. It's in Queens.
Can't tell you.
It's in Queens.
It's around
Where
the
they got
corner from
a
Macy's.
they got a elevator to bring the cars up and down. Is
No, it's you drive in, and there's
Ramps.
ramps that take you up to the next
oh
level.
really?
What it is it was a multi-level parking garage that was supposed to service a nearby apartment building, but the guy who owned it just rented out the spot, like 3 of the 4 floors. He rented them out to car guys because he was into cars. And 1 floor was for the people in the apartment building. Then a new owner came in a few years ago and restructured everything, kicked up the rent. So a lot of guys left. They were out.
Oh yeah.
Some on principle, some couldn't afford it. And a lot of the hardcore guys stayed, like Dougie and these guys stayed. So there's not as many cars in there as there used to be. But there's still a goodly amount of them.
I got actually it was a Austin Healey dealership.
Oh wow.
And oddly enough, here it is many moons later. No, is that right? No. I'm sorry. It was a Tucker.
Get
Tucker.
out of here.
Wow.
It was a Tucker, and somewhere it became Austin Healey. But I think it was a Tucker. Originally, it was a Tucker thing, and
In the
then
40s, 48.
yeah. But it has a elevator, a wood crate elevator from the first floor to second floor, and the guy restores Austin Healey's in it now.
Nice.
And they have that, and it's like super sketchy looking, but it's badass seeing that thing because you're coming around on the backside, and it goes in there, and it has that. And I have a body shop that has one of those also.
Wow.
They don't use it; they actually use it for the mixing room for the paint booth. But at one time, it was an elevator, a cargo elevator type thing, and put a
So
car.
you roll in there and you get out, and you got that big wooden gate that you
Yeah.
gotta pull down.
I was the last time. This
Up it
was
goes.
20 plus years ago when I was at school up there. The Porsche dealership in the city that's where they parked their car, Porsche Audi, and they had one of those. And every once in a while, the bucket wouldn't be there, and a car kind of went down the shaft. So
Oh my god!
I remember there was an episode of American Pickers where they were in some old, it was a building. On the second story, I forget what kind of car it was they took out, but it had one of those wood elevators.
yeah,
I remember
And
that. It was some real old car, and it was a big car, like an old Cadillac or
Yes.
something, with those, special coach bodies.
Uh-huh.
right?
And it
And I
was,
think it even had the white rubber tires on it way back when.
and
And
it
they
was
had to
what's
do
his name?
everything to it just fit the elevator.
It was what's his name's brother who was doing it. The main guy. What's his name?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Not Frank Fritz. It was the other guy.
Yeah, the other
Yeah,
guy.
the other dude.
But his brother was doing the pick, and they had to get it in, and it like didn't fit straight, and the elevator went down, but it went crooked. And he's like, "When was the last thing this thing worked?" Oh, probably when we brought it up like 50 years ago. Like,
yeah.
He goes,
And the car, it was a big,
It was a big
coach
car.
body, and it just fit in the
Yeah.
elevator.
They were afraid it was going to crash to the floor, but they got it down.
Right. I remember that. I watched that.
Oh, Mike
episode.
Wolf. Mike
Mike
Wolf.
Wolf,
It was
yeah.
his brother, Robbie. Yeah, that was years ago that they did that. Yeah, but see, you can remember
that's
that. in
crazy. That's. I mean, I loved. I actually the guy, that Austin Healy guy, he does like show car stuff. I mean, he'll have a car, and he's usually, when I was out there in that area on Fridays, he's closed, so there wasn't too many times of going in there, but that place was just phenomenal going in there, because he would have like a stack of wood, like the wood steering wheels, like we're on the AC Cobras, and all that vintage time frame that for those Austin Healys and so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking, $15, $18, $2,000 steering wheels, and he would just have these factory original ones just piled up on the floor,
Wow.
from redoing cars and so forth. And the old boat. I mean, a lot of those cars had the Stuart Warner gauges that were like boat flush. They were rounded instead of flat, the glass or whatever.
Right.
That stuff is like, $1 zillion if you could find any of that stuff. And he just had that stuff. That was just like, laying around being an ashtray. It was fucking crazy, dude. The place was insane. Beautiful car, beautiful stuff going in there, and a lot of old stuff. I told him supposedly, I think he finally sold, because it's been real quiet over there and it looked kind of dark. They're trying to wipe out everything over there. In that part of the city, everything's being. We got this huge above ground trolley, the Purple Line, which is it's literally cutting my route. It's wiping half my route out.
Really?
Yeah, it's above ground.
So how is that affecting your route?
Taking out buildings. I mean, they're buying up to run this thing, and it's all I've already, the first go around with this, I think I lost something like 15 shops.
Wow.
Holy shit.
And I'm getting ready to lose. I'm going to lose probably another 20 or so.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's a huge cut.
But man, they are, like I said, they don't want any of that automotive stuff anyway. The people in power don't drive cars. They drive them around. They get driven. Yeah.
Well, let them keep doing what they do, and they won't have anybody to fucking drive them anyway.
Yeah.
So, you better learn how to drive, pal.
That's why when we have our little neighborhood things, and those politicians, like our Burtonsville Day or whatever, and those politicians come down, that's why I always like to ask them, how much is a gallon of gas? And they fumble over the words. They have no idea. Or how much is a gallon of milk? And they're like, I don't understand the point of this. And I said, well, that's what a working man has to pay for.
Right.
And this is, you don't even know, you have no idea what you do to react to those,
Very true.
prices.
Disconnect. Big disconnect.
Total disconnect.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna disconnect this feed right now.
Yeah, I got an 8:00 meeting in Tampa for a big job. I got to meet with the big wigs in construction.
Ah, okay. So
Which
you got to be fresh.
kind of makes me think I'm going to have to do the usual OSHA bullshit with the yellow hats and the vest
Oh, yeah.
and the whole nine. Really? To put a fish tank in your lobby? Come on, give me
Hey.
a break.
Better than wearing a mask.
Well, yeah. Well, we don't have masks here in
I
Florida.
know, but I'd rather wear a hat and a vest than a mask. So
I just hate having to
Yep.
deal with that kind of stuff.
I know.
I come in, I do what I got to do. I know what I got. I got a $2 million liability policy. I ain't going to screw up your shit.
Right.
Let me do my work. Let me give me my money, and I'm on my way. See you.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, so just like Lewis Lee went on his way and left the show to us.
We're
gonna end
out
it
here.
tonight, right? Motormouth Ray from Motormouth Radio, Chassis John, Medical Man Brian, Justin from American Hot Rod. John, what do we always say? What do you always say that Chris always says that now?
Don't even think of following us home unless you've got funny bones with you.
Funny bone.
Funny
And
bones.
ice cold milk.
There we go.
Or I'll take Reese's peanut butter cups.
That's good.
And since Easter just passed, if you still have a chocolate bunny,
I got a white chocolate bunny.
solid though, not the
Yeah.
hollow, the cheap
Right.
hollow ones. It's got to be solid.
I got some leftover cookies too, so I'm
There
eating
you
those.
go.
Yeah, my wife got me a nice solid milk chocolate bunny. Delicious.
Nice.
Last night I opened it up and I broke off the ears. Had them while I was watching. Oh my god, what's that TV show on FX? It's a spin-off from Sons of Anarchy.
Oh,
It's
the
the-
Mayans.
Mayans, yeah, they're back.
I refuse to watch that.
Oh, it's awesome.
I know.
I've
right?
been watching
Kurt
it
Sutter,
since. I've
I've
been
had.
watching it since season 1.
I know. I've had enough of. It's Sons of Anarchy. He pissed me off, and I said I'm not going to watch anything Kurt Sutter does because I don't. You know, he's doing Shakespeare. So I
Well,
refuse to watch it.
Mayans is good. It's really good because it's got a lot of tie-ins to Sons of Anarchy. There's characters that are in the Mayans that were in Sons of Anarchy.
I'll take your word for it.
You know, so it's good. And season 2 started Tuesday, I think it was. Yeah, Tuesday night. But it was a 2-hour show,
Right.
and I was kind of tired, and my back was hurting me, so I watched the first hour. And I couldn't get to the second hour yesterday. Certainly couldn't do it today. I'll watch it tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I like it. I like what's going on, and it's the dirtiness of these motorcycle gangs that like to shoot each other up and trade guns over the borderline. You know, that kind of stuff. It's
Well,
a good show.
Better Call Saul came back on Monday night.
Yes.
So it was a 2-hour beginning of that, which was fantastic.
Well, actually, you know what? I ran into that show on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
So I am not going to watch the new stuff because I think I'm going to start that from the beginning.
Okay.
Because this is the last season.
It is. Yeah, this is the end.
Yeah. So,
It's gonna be a split season. One of those half season deals.
yeah. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start watching it on Netflix
Okay.
to catch up and see the whole thing. Because
Yeah, and
I
if
don't
you
want
watch
to walk
Breaking-
in on the last season.
And if you watch Breaking Bad, it'll make perfect sense because,
Yes.
of course, this is the prequel to Breaking Bad.
Right.
So none of those characters are in it. Actually, now in the last season they may be, but it's very good.
I'll give it a
Gilligan
shot,
is a phenomenal writer.
It's on Netflix.
He's a phenomenal writer. But I've been watching YouTube videos. Now there's also, whatever you watch, there's always YouTube videos of people commenting or doing the and some of them are pretty damn good in there. They're showing me stuff like I had questions about what was this or what was the significance of that. And these people, it's like reading music. They just know this shit. Like how
I'm amazed
you
at that.
know
You
that?
always see these videos. Like there's a boatload of videos trying to explain what happened in the last episode of The Sopranos.
Oh, Sopranos. I know. Yeah, right. I've seen those. I've watched those.
It's funny that you said that because one of my customers heard I can't remember how it came about. I guess he saw on my Facebook feed about the radio show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so I played the part about me waiting to hunt down the skips.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said, he goes, "Where's this at?" And I was like, "Oh, this is my New York guys." And he goes, "So you got the Tony Sopranos if we don't pay,
Right.
if we don't pay, and I said, well, I do have a Chassis John and Ray. I guess I do have a connection.
Right.
And
Like Grayson.
so that particular shop thought it was funny that
Well,
now
all we
that
gotta
I
do
have
is
like
make a
this
call.
whole
Johnny, that means we
Yeah,
got to get
got my
black
boys.
suits, white shirts, black ties, a
Right.
fedora. We got to go out and do some work. We got,
Yeah.
got a
I
job
can
to
make
do.
a phone call. I got
Right.
people.
I got
me too.
people. I
Yeah,
got people
buddy.
make that phone call when I.
Yeah.
We got to go do
You
a
know,
job.
even though I'm here in Florida, I got juice up there.
I bet you do.
I said when you see the big guy walk in with a baseball bat, you got problems.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Oh God.
Oh shit!
You know what? And the funny part is, not one Italian will be offended by that.
No. No.
You know, people
No.
talk about that. Yeah, oh, you know, these Italian dudes, they show up with the baseball bat. You better start worrying.
Yeah.
Nobody will say, you know what? I'm offended by you saying that.
Yeah.
I don't do
Or a
things
golf
like
club, right?
Right.
Right.
That's racist. Right.
that. We don't have a problem with that.
No.
So we just got to work on. I guess I got to work on some Godfather music theme when I'm
Yeah.
walking into the shop
There
or
you
something.
go.
You know.
Yeah.
Put the Godfather theme on your phone and then turn it on full blast as
Right.
you walk in.
That's
As
it.
I walk in, so they know. Got the New York
You
connection.
didn't pay
for sure.
me the last 2-3 weeks, so don't make me have to call Fredo.
That's it.
I don't want to do that. I make you a deal you can't refuse.
Right.
But they all got a kick out of that.
That's
So
good.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right, so don't follow us home
No.
because it won't end up good either
Or
way.
else.
But
Right.
if you got Entenmann's,
And
coffee cakes, let's talk.
Mm.
I got
Justin?
coffee.
Any last words, Justin?
Let's do it again next week.
We
Do
will.
it again.
All right.
We will. You keep
Justin,
working on those cool hot rods.
Yeah.
that's it. You're cool.
And that truck was a basket case.
Yeah, I sent you guys a picture of that. That was
Yeah.
I had to dig through 7 years of Facebook photos, but I found
Oh
it.
my God.
Brian, what are your words of wisdom for tonight? What's going to take us out of here?
Don't leave that up on me. We don't have that much time.
All right. So then we're going to be.
I gotta
outta
go fix a
here.
sandwich. That's what I'm gonna go do.
That's
We'll
what you
see
need
guys
to do.
next week, and see you on Sunday on Motor Mouth Radio. We'll catch you all then.
Guys,
All
take
right.
care. Be safe.
See ya.
Awesome.